So, good afternoon, everyone. I would like to call to order the Town of Ulysses Comp Plan Steering Committee meeting for today, September 24th, 2025. Our first order of business is roll call.
Colin Budkowski, Planning Board.
No Klein, Planning Board.
Neil Stevenson, Town Planner.
Kim Moore, BZA and business owner. Roxanne Marino, Conservation Sustainability Advisory Council. Liz Weatherby, sorry, town board.
And what's your name?
The medicine is just
Aw.
blocking everything right now.
Ann DePetta, I'm a committee member, chair, and local resident. So our second item is approval of the agenda. So has everyone had a chance to review the agenda?
Yes.
Okay, any
I'll
discussion?
make a motion.
So one thing that was recommended is because of our timing and kind of a lot of things to do, that we are considering moving item 3, which is the approval of the past minutes, to the end of the meeting, and move item 4, which is privilege of the floor, until after the public hearing. And then we'll do item 6, which is preparing for the open house, after we do item 7.
I'll still approve it.
That's okay. Okay, anybody want to say anything about that or questions about moving the agenda a
So
little bit?
we'll go right into public hearing next.
So we'll go
Move
right
on
into
to the
public
privilege of the
hearing.
floor, and then we'll go to 7 to make sure that
We'll do
we talk
privilege
about
of the
this.
store, and then we'll get it, yes, and then we'll get store.
your medicine had to go.
I know, it's contagious already. Yes, then into 7.
Okay.
And I won't miss any of the numbers. I just got them correct.
I still make the motion.
Thank you, Mo.
I'll second.
Thank you, Carl. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So our next order of business is the beginning of the public hearings. This is on the draft chapters of the comp plan. Tonight, we are going to be taking public comments on the following 3 draft chapters: environment and natural resources, climate change, and resiliency built environment. Is that 3? Oh, no. Is that 3? Environment and natural
Yes, there's
resources
3
and climate change and resiliency built environment.
built environments.
And built
See,
No, we already don't take out built environment. That's
Oh.
a typo. It should
Okay.
just be climate change and resiliency.
Okay, okay. So I need a motion to open the public hearing.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. So public comments are limited to 3 minutes in length. We will alternate if needed.
You got your timer?
I got it.
You got yours? Yeah.
For those on Zoom,
There's
okay.
nobody ready here, so.
Okay, so do we have anyone, we don't have anyone here in the room other than the committee members. So is there anyone on Zoom that would like to make a public comment on the chapters? You can raise your hand or let us know in the chat. That's, looks like we have no public comments. Does that, how that seems? Okay, so if we could get a motion, please, to table the public hearing until our next meeting.
Yep,
Thank you, Mo, in a second.
I'll second.
Thanks, Carl. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Anybody who's watching later, please send comments in or show up at the open house. We really want people's input and feedback on the
yes.
chapters.
We definitely do.
Do you know, actually, sorry, have we received any written comments?
Chris, I don't know if it was during a town board meeting, but there was one comment that was received so far.
Okay. That's, she mentioned that during the talk. Last 2 weeks ago.
Yes, it'd be better to get more than one comment for sure. Okay, so next is privilege of the floor. So this portion of the committee meeting is where members of the public can make general comments on items that are not related to tonight's agenda. They are limited also to 3 minutes in length. Is there anyone out there who would like to address the board or the committee on items not on our agenda tonight? Okay,
I'll make a motion to close.
motion to close, thank you. Can we have
I'll
a
second it.
second? Thank you, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so I think if I have this right, we're gonna launch into number 7, new business items, and we will circle back to number 6 once we get through our new business items to talk about the open house.
Can I
Um,
ask one question?
yes.
Sorry, I should have asked it a little earlier. So for the comments, they are to go to that email address that is the comp plan.
So for comments, please send them either to the comp plan steering committee's email or to a town board meeting.
To a
Um,
town board meeting.
You can bring up to a town board meeting.
Oh, and I mean, if people, like, my committee made comments, but I sent them to Angela because I thought that's what I was supposed to do. And then Angela has disappeared, and
She's
so,
left it already.
right, I get that, but like, it seems like a lot of what was with her left too without any memory, so I guess I should resend it to.
Yeah,
Send it to Carissa or the email
Or me.
address.
yeah, where do they go and how do they get
Right.
incorporated?
That's, I mean, how are they getting compiled? Like, if Carissa gets them, is she just sending them then to MRB?
So what we're doing at the planning board is we can direct them to me and I'll coordinate with Jessica and MRB. So whatever comments you sent to Angelina, please forward them to me. I'll forward them
I
to,
think you were probably talking about
I didn't receive
what
anything.
happened. It was quite a while ago, actually.
I'll get with Jeff McConnell.
So I just want to make sure
Yeah.
they get there because.
I mean, especially if we only have 1 or 2.
Well, it was on the chapters we did today, the
Yeah.
natural resources and climate. So,
Mhm. So thanks for bringing that up. So they'll go into the document. I mean, how do we all need to look at them? Or-
Eventually they'll be compiled and put in as an appendix.
Jess has it.
Okay.
Jessica has it.
Oh, yes, Jessica.
Yeah, so I believe I may actually have those comments that you're discussing related to possibly like climate resiliency or something like that. But I do have some of those comments, and I could send those to Niels just to cross reference and confirm. So
Thanks, Jessica. Great. As long as they get reviewed and incorporated as appropriate. Hello. Okay, so we are getting into new business. So the first item is reviewing the land use and ag maps and data. So Jessica, I think here's where we turn it over to you.
yep. So in terms of this, we created the land use document. I'm not sure if you guys were able to look at that. But pretty much it just breaks down into what your existing land use is in short and summary, the best way to describe this. Existing land use, some zoning discussion, and then what you guys desire for future land use. And Niels had really took the initiative on that piece.
So Jessica, if you don't mind pausing for just your thought for a second. Are we trying to fix sound so we can?
Yeah, I think if we get the sound to go through there, then we can hear it better.
Do we know how to
Sorry,
do that?
what is the concern? It's
Um,
just hard to hear.
It's just hard for everyone
It's
to
coming
hear, I
through your
guess.
computer and not
It's-
the television. Do you know how to
I don't know how to
You
do
know how to
that.
go into the settings.
Give us just a
generation.
second if you.
I don't mind. Adrian was here to help. No.
Can try
All right, will you test, Jessica?
We can hear
Test.
Perfect, better.
it.
Okay, thank you. All right, Jessica, back to you.
Yeah, so essentially, what we did was we talked about your existing land use and where it stands. We also talked about future land use, which Niels had did an extensive amount of work on in developing all the different districts. We also talked about zoning too, because your land use influences your zoning. So we talked about what your zoning currently is. And then we also added some discussion around rural issues at the end as well. So that is, in short, what we did for this intro, well, not intro, this land use section, chapter 2.
So there's a lot. So there's background data, land use, basically from a zoning perspective. And then if there's any questions on that, that's best directed to Jessica on any of that data. As part of that request, I asked them to pull in potential GIS data for subdivisions, because that's should influence some discussion as far as where the town wants to grow. There were some setbacks from accidents, unfortunately, with their GIS. I wasn't able to touch base until afterwards, but the hatch marks indicate what MRB thinks is at least an easy subdivision, which you can see the majority of the town can at least subdivide once. This, I'm almost positive this does not account for flag lots and for clusters. If we take those into consideration, almost everything, probably except for the lakeshore zone, can have some level of subdivision. And with clusters, you're talking about potentially, sizable amount of subdivision, especially out in rural areas.
That's with the current zoning.
That's current zoning. Yeah.
And that accounts for no more than 3 subdivisions on a property, right? Just 3.
Well, that's time-wise.
Yeah.
So some zones like the conservation zone have a limit.
Mhm.
Other zones just kick it to a major subdivision review. So if you do so many subdivisions in a short time frame, for whatever reason, the town kicked it, even though they're successive minor subdivisions, they said if you do like 3 in a certain time period, then it kicks up to a major subdivision for some reason.
I'm just curious to my properties on there as not being able to be subdivided. So I'm curious on why that is. And I thought maybe it was because we were the 3rd subdivision, but it's
Not,
been over 60 years. So
I'm pretty sure. So for example, if you're in a AR zone, you need 400 feet of frontage, right?
Mhm.
So if you have 450 feet of frontage, you can at least do 1 flag lot. And then but you can also do cluster. Cluster just is wide open. And so the only limitation to cluster, theoretically speaking, if you're in a zone that says you need 1 acre minimum per lot, and you want to do a 5 acre, so you have to have at least 5 acres.
Okay, so what's our process here?
If there's no questions on the zoning data on the land use data, then the next is to look at the draft land use chapter, would be my suggestion. And if there's any questions there, we can go through that. And then once those questions are done, I would suggest we dive into the workshop for the map.
All right, so do we have any questions or comments or discussion on that data piece?
no, that's fair.
Oh. Is everyone like clear on what we're doing, what we're looking at, or are people confused?
We're still looking at the zoning, which was the property that's available for subdivision, basically, right?
That's part of it.
That's
And the data that's behind the land use chapter.
So is there, just to be really clear, where you want people putting their attention right now? Are they in the maps folder, or they're in the maps, or in the land use
It
chapter?
would be the land use chapter.
Roxanne, you had a question?
Well, you just had asked, I mean, I spent. Sorry, so recovering from surgery, but I worked on this like a lot today, and I feel like this chapter is like kind of very drafty, like I don't know what our plan is with it, but I had a ton of comments. I don't know how to, if I want to look at it later or whatever, want to go through it one at a time, but there's, again, there's errors, there's really poor wording. there's just a lot, the grammar's terrible sometimes. I mean, this to me is a really first cut draft, and I don't know if what we're thinking of doing with this with regard to the, what we approve or not, or put forward, or maybe other people don't think it, but that is my personal opinion. You know, it'll take a while to go through the comments that I have.
Yeah, so
So,
the one we should be pulling up is the copy for editing.
Yep.
Or
Yeah.
see, it is.
and if you're looking at that, start on page 13, that's the section 3, existing land use, that's the data portion.
Oh, I'm talking about the whole thing, but not just the data portion.
Yeah. And I
I read through it from top to bottom, so I didn't start on the data,
No, but right, I think
Which is
we are
fine.
gonna get to the
which
land
is
use.
how people will read it.
Right,
so.
but I think for the exercise we're doing today, we're just starting right now
Okay,
with
so
the
we're
zoning
not
data.
talking about this whole chapter.
We will be, but right now we're going piece by piece. We're starting with the data, then we're gonna look at the land use maps, then we're gonna come back to your overall chapter.
Okay.
So there's a progression and a review.
Okay, yeah, so let's
Which
just
is
be really clear, because I'm getting confused also on like, what are we doing, and where are we and stuff, so let's just be really clear on where we are and where we're beginning. So we're in the land use chapter, and we're starting on page 13. Okay. All right. And then, so do we want to, are we going through comments at, starting here? Jessica, you want to guide us, or what?
Well, Are we
Go
going, Niels, you won't, because we need to get to the land use map section. We need to look at this data.
Yes.
Acknowledging that there are a lot of comments in this chapter that we want to get through, but I think the first step is just to talk through the data, how the maps were come up with, and go through the exercise with the maps, and then we come back to the chapter.
Chapter.
Okay, so who's gonna lead us in that? Is that you directing us on how to, because I don't feel like I have the capacity to lead us on like analyzing maps.
I can do the maps, definitely. If there's questions on data, or if there's anything there, please direct those to Jessica.
So Jessica, where did you, this data you got from Niels and or our zoning maps?
Yeah, so
Documents.
a lot of this was done by Tom in GIS. My assumption, he got like county-based information from, the Tompkins County. As far as, zoning, I'm not entirely sure. I would assume we probably got it from the town. If we didn't have it from the town, then I assume from the county, because I know the county typically always has those shape files.
Okay.
But I could definitely follow up.
Yeah, and
and-
actually, I read the next sentence. I did read this earlier. It looks like it's 2008 mapping and 2015 mapping from the county that this was kind of derived from. And it looks at the changes between that period. So there's still another 10 years that's unaccounted for, but it sounds like that's the latest available land use mapping and data that's available from the county. That's why we're using 2015.
And if you're looking at table 2, the zoning districts, that is from the 2019 rezone. So the county has those shape files, and they can just extrapolate area by their data.
So I have a question on map 1 and then map 2. What are they? Like, is map 1 2008 and map 2 2015? They're not really referenced for the year.
What page, if you could guide me?
Start on
14.
14.
Page 14.
14. Okay. Let's see. So it's from 2000. Well, classification adapted. It sounds like it's from 2015, but I can confirm with
Map 1 or map 2?
for map 1. I can confirm with Tom on that one for you all.
And I just also made the comment that perhaps these things, I mean, they're useful, but they should be taken with a grain of salt. I looked at that one, and of course, you always look at the properties around you and your specific property, and my property, which is, it looks like it's not the entire whole thing, but it's quite a bit of it, so it's probably at least 60 acres, says it's residential. And it's not, in fact, we have an ag exemption because we're in an agricultural relationship. A lot of that land is farmed, and that property has been there for 100 years, and it's been farmed a lot longer than since 2008.
And that's
So-
that one, you feel like
Yeah.
it's not,
So I just feel like, I don't know, I mean, it's useful to some extent, but I don't know what else is accurate or inaccurate about it, but I don't know how they get that. You know, I mean, there's one house, which is a farmhouse, which is allowed when they call it agriculture, and one barn. And it's been there for 100 years practically, so, yeah, or more. So it's, the house has been there since the 1800s. And it's been in agriculture since way before 2008, so
so the
just saying that
question or
I'm
the
wondering
concern
about.
is whether they're accurate.
Well,
Well,
the
and-
point just being that, I mean, nothing ever is entirely accurate, but like, just that we could make some note of. Or we should at least think about when we're talking,
Well,
taking
And I
this
think
all with a
that-
bit of a grain of salt.
One-
Yeah.
when I look at closely, this map one is the one that Kim's GIS group put together for us. I've got the big one over here version of it. And they use the tax department data for Tompkins County plus the GIS data. If you look in the upper right corner up there in that legend, it says data sources Tompkins County GIS, and the second line is Tompkins County Assessment Department.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for, so I downloaded all the PDFs that were pertinent for today, and I'm like looking through them, like, because I wanted to zoom in,
Right,
because if you
yeah.
go to the legend, it'll give you the
Well, I was
info.
just asking about the year, which is not listed there, at least not.
Well, that was done this spring or probably June of this year.
So map one was done in 2025,
Yes, by,
okay,
The
it
GI
certainly doesn't
County
say that
GIS
in this
department.
report. And it's
Right.
not accurate on the tax rolls, because we're not taxed as residential. is
Well,
my
and just,
point.
I think there is a difference between what we're being taxed on. My property's in the same situation. We have a house, but we have part of it that's
Right.
farmed, where as residential. But I think we're not gonna be changing any of these maps. What we should be considering, looking at these maps and then looking at the future land use map, make sure we get it correctly in the future land use map, because that's what we can control.
Right, I'm just saying, we should take this with a grain of salt,
Yeah,
because,
no, I agree.
yeah, it's not entirely accurate, and if it's from 2025, that amazes me,
Yeah.
because it's not right. But that's what the county has, I'm not saying the
Right.
people who made it wrong.
Oh, I don't feel that way, I was gonna ask you if you could break down what your address was, because I was gonna look at an assessment.
4124 Reynolds
I
Road.
didn't know if you want to say that,
I
thank
don't
you.
care. Drive by and look at it.
No, I just was gonna look and see what was classified in assessment.
We have an ag assessment on a lot of our properties, so.
It does show it as a rural residential
The whole property?
property class, hold on,
60 acres?
please hold,
Okay.
how it's connected.
Okay.
Buffering.
According to what I'm seeing here on the Beacon site, which is Replace ImageMate Online, so if anybody knows IMO, it's now called Beacon. I am showing that this property with your tax ID is 87.96 acres, and it is classified as 241, which is rural residential and ag. I missed the and ag. So let me see if it breaks it out for you. But if anybody has, you can, it's a free, there's no login, you can go to the county, assess county, Tompkins County NY.gov, go to assessment, and then get to Beacon, and it gives you all of the information for any of the parcels that you have questions on.
It's good resource.
So our objective, is it to confirm that all these are correct? I mean, we're just
No,
doing
no,
a grain of
no,
salt.
no.
Okay,
No,
so
I-
we need a whole.
I've done our
job.
What do you need
No,
for that?
I was
Okay.
just making the point that, I mean, it still is the way it's listed on here. So it's, you know, to just take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah, so
It's
where
in
do we
one
put
piece of
that?
information that is not 100% accurate, no information is 100%.
Right, and I, you know, of course, I look at the data and the maps and I'm like, I just assume somebody got that right, because I don't know the whole county like the back of my hand, so what happens with this, with that? like reality with that, you know, that we're saying, take it with a grain of salt, like, does that need to be acknowledged
I mean,
somehow?
I
You're
think just
we're
as we go
that's-
through the
okay.
discussion, and we should have the date that on the map, because this, the source says it's 2008 and 2015, but if it's really 2025, that's pretty different, so.
Yeah. Okay, all right, thank you for that. Noted, and I think that's really important to keep in mind.
Here, and Jessica already added a comment in, so.
All right, so what else? What else do we need to do in this section here? I mean, like I said, I look at these and I'm not, you know, data checking every single number here. So what else are we looking for in this section?
I would defer to Niels at this point because I feel like I think what he wants to do is to start workshopping, but I mean, I will say, we knew that comments were going to keep coming in, so we will address all these for very soon. So there's that too.
I guess-
But as far as next steps, I would defer to Neil.
Given that it's 5:30 and you have quite a bit of work to do, if you want to go through item by item of the comments that are in there currently, that's up to you. I would highly suggest not going down rabbit holes because you do have a lot of work. But if there's anything truly substantive on the data portion of the second half, or chapter or section 3 on, let's discuss that.
Okay, so I guess the question is there anyone here who has something they would like to discuss in this, is it the section 3,
Section 3 on,
all the way to the end?
yeah, to the end.
Not to put us in a rabbit hole, but I just want to circle back one time really quick. So just to clarify, so the way maps work they're based on a data set.
No, that's my
He has
first
the
time
address,
with
of course.
that guy.
I think I booted Jessica off too.
We can get her back in.
Ugh. It's just, it's better.
Is there somebody to scrub the video before we post?
Yeah.
Chris, perfect.
So you want substantive comments from section 3 on?
Yes, so substantive comments for that segment, and then otherwise what's in there is in there and will get reviewed.
Do you know how to get back in touch with Jessica?
I just Teamsed her.
Okay.
But real quick, just tagging back on what Kim said about the maps, we have the same thing with the ag map data that we'll be looking at. We ran into this issue last year, I believe, when the county was updating their Ag District 2 map. They were working with really old data, but they, updated. So when we look at the ag maps, realize that data is out of date significantly in some spots, but that's what we have.
Right, so it should just be labeled on the maps, what year the data is from, not what year it's made, what year the data is from.
Yeah,
'Cause
which
that's
is what,
matters to people.
yeah, which is what I guess they did here, right? Okay. Any other items for discussion in this section?
Well, we have to come.
Go ahead.
Other
Sam.
people should talk. I just think from the beginning of it that like this, in section 3 contains a mixture of description of the current zoning district parameters and then recommendations for potential changes. And it seems to me that those should kind of be generalized and incorporated into the goals and objectives and policies as opposed to being in some analysis of our current zoning and an evaluation of what we should change. I mean, there may be generalizable issues to address as part of the update, but I just thought it was strange. To me, it didn't work so well to have them. You have what's there and then you have what's the problem and what we should potentially do to change it. And it just didn't seem like the right place for it to me, but that's just my opinion.
Okay, any response to that, or? other input?
Well, I think we'll be looking at the objectives as the course of action for the town, right? That's a consolidated course of action. So I think at a minimum, I agree with Roxanne. I think that they should be reflected in the objectives, whether or not everyone wants to keep it also in the policy or in the narrative. You know, I think that that's, I think there's some pros and cons, but it makes sense to also have effectively those action items show up in the objective section.
Are you able to hear her, Jessica? You're on mute.
Yeah, I think what I could hear was that the recommendations that are provided in this section should be noted more in the objectives in our land use objectives. Correct?
Suggesting that they could perhaps be worded a bit more generally, like they're pretty detailed. And I think, as I understood comp plans, they're kind of general guidance, and then, you know, when you go to update the zoning or you talk about particular areas, you think about what you might do more specifically. So I feel like, yeah, they're pretty detailed for the comp plan, and I thought, you know, comp plans are supposed to give kind of an outline where they're used to come up with specific zoning details or other details. So I feel like generalizing them a bit instead of being pretty specific and locking us into like, that's when it in our comp plan is a recommendation in a document. I think there should be some discussion about that, and I hope the town board has discussion about it if we're gonna leave things in at that level of detail.
Level,
So-
what are you just,
Well, Sorry,
go.
I was gonna say, are you still talking about like sections 3 and 4, or did you
I'm
jump up
talking
to?
about in the section where the zoning is described, and then there's like suggested things that could be changed because there's a problem. And they're pretty detailed. Let's see. It's kind of
It's throughout,
through it, yeah,
like 18.
right. Yeah, well, page 18 is one example. It's like, you know, changing the minimum lot size and you can do this, and then, you know, there's one way that it could be looked at, but there's another way that it could be looked at, which I put in there just to illustrate that that's a kind of a thing that would need to be really discussed by the board and everything. And I just didn't see it as in that level of detail.
This is what Nancy 18 is just represented.
I'm sorry, I got lost. Where are we?
Page 18,
Okay.
So we're on
Just
page
one example.
18 as one example of potentially maybe too much detail, or maybe detail
Well,
that,
specificity.
yeah, that,
Locks you in potentially, this is your
Right.
guidance document. for
right, that
development.
then is going to lock the town in. And so your suggestion, or what Roxanne's been putting on the table, is to have it be less,
General.
just a little more
saying,
general.
Yeah, in the objectives and policies. And, you know, what we have for the zoning here, and you can incorporate those thoughts, but in a more general way, because there's definitely more than one way to look at these recommendations
Yeah.
in terms of their consequence and public participation.
Right, does anyone have any reaction to that or input on that?
Ouch, I have a question. So I think in the future, the town is gonna be revising or re-looking its zoning as a whole.
Probably come from.
Yeah, from this, right? So are we gonna be more, like, not as specific maybe in the language, or is it better to be specific? Niels, this might be you, like, as a planner question. Is it better to be specific now, and then that allows you to formulate the changes for zoning? Or is it better to be generic because then you want this comp plan to live as a document for many years? With that.
So I think I hear Roxanne's concerns, but I would say in the body of the text, it's better to be more specific. In case examples like this, you want your objectives and your policies to be less constrictive. And so like, we don't have a number for it, but X 1.1 says revise the town zoning and development ordinances and zoning maps aligned with the comp plan, land use map and development regulations. That's general, and I think what you're getting to. You don't want I would suggest not having your policies and objectives be so constrictive to talk about, like your 80-20, 60-40, whatever thing that the town tried to go through previously. I think it's definitely warranted to discuss that in the body of the text, though. I think that is entirely appropriate, though, as reference and guidance.
And does the body of having it be in the body of the text, does that then limit the focus of the rezoning to make sure it's compliant with that text, or because it's not specifically a written goal and policy?
I take it
It's-
more to your goals and policies. Your
Okay.
goals, policies, and objectives are what guide
Like
your
when the
laws.
planning board is looking at, or zoning board, but the planning board is looking at whether a project is compliant with the comp plan, are they looking at every single line of the comp plan? And looking like if they had this, for example, the image below shows the parcels, would you be making sure it's compliant with that? Or your focus really is more on the goals and policies? It's a question for you guys.
Well, usually we go by the comp plan.
So the general text.
Yeah, if it had specifics, we would certainly look at.
Oh,
those,
yes,
But,
yeah.
like on page 24, one of the things that comes in where they're showing this runoff density and stuff. The problem is without public sewers, you're limited to about a 1 acre minimum property to meet the county's environmental health rules for septic systems. So most of that table doesn't even apply to the town of Ulysses, because unless we develop public sewer systems, which I think would be a very tight little compact area. It's certainly not I don't see it in general across the town.
I made that comment too. You didn't have time to read it because I did it today, sorry. but-
So if you want to split the baby, so to speak,
Yeah.
one way to look at it is to create an objective where it directs the town to examine through a lens and to make a determination through there. So that's kind of a way to be a little bit more specific, but it doesn't bind the town, right? So there's language already built into the introduction chapter that stipulates that the town isn't bound to make decisions that are not financially prudent effectively or financially sustainable. So I think that if you want to be more specific, I think personally, as a town board member, I would say it would be helpful in the objective section to be a little bit more specific than just update your zoning. It might be helpful to have some guidance through which lenses the comprehensive plan is suggesting we update our zoning. I would say that the survey data says to me, based on priorities, that a more affordable and diversity of housing is a high priority for our community. And quite frankly, our zoning in 85% of the town outside Village doesn't incentivize that. It doesn't encourage it. And it has put some serious limitations on our ability to do that. If that emerges as a theme from this group, then directing the town to explore how the zoning intersects with that community goal might be a really helpful direction to have us work functionally towards a zoning update that's not just around the edge. The town's plan, just so you know, is to apply for consolidated funding. The consolidated funding application will be next summer, and it's to apply for money to do a zoning update. Have this comp plan effectively wrapped up in order to take that next step.
When you say consolidated, is that HUD consolidated plan, or is it something separate?
No, it's a CSA round. It's just the consolidated funding. It's the Hunger Games for New York State municipalities. So that's what I meant by that.
That's what we got the grant to do this update.
When,
Yeah, not a consolidated plan.
when planners talk consolidated plan, that specifically is related to like housing and HUD.
Right, but the funding
Yeah.
gap is in July, and under certain categories, we got it for putting in sustainability. So I agree 100% with what Caitlin just said. I still think that either you put in the text of this, like I'm back on page 18 again, you could keep, there's this argument about, well, we have 2 acres zoning in the ag, well, if we have 1, then you could keep more land in farming while getting the same amount of capital. Well, the other side of that is you could have twice as many houses along the road frontage and get twice as much money. So I think that, you know, there's two ways to look, and I'm not saying it's one or the other, but I think we should elaborate on it if we're leaving examples like that in there, because it sounds like we're advocating doing that. And I think that that is something that is, it's been a huge round of discussions for many years, and it should continue to be a discussion with the town board and public input and everything else. I just don't think it should be, it's appropriate to write it in at that level of detail in here. So anyway, I oppose it, but you know, I can be outvoted and that's fine. I'll go to the town board meeting and oppose it.
Because I downloaded, so our kind of paging is different, so.
So I'm not exactly sure where to go from here, Neil, with this conversation, you have
Well,
an idea?
Well, again, if there's any other substantive things on this port or
Okay, so
Just
to
to,
make sure we're hearing, you know what I mean, like
Yeah.
acknowledging Roxanne's input. I just don't know where it goes from here. I mean, I guess Jessica, you're noting that. I don't know if anyone else has any other.
I mean, if the planning board and town board looks and takes like everything that's said in here, not as like gospel necessarily, but as a recommendation for consideration, then perhaps there's a way we can reword this where you can keep some of the detail, but not make it look like this is something for consideration as opposed to, for example, this is what we would do.
Mhm.
I don't have that language right in front of me. But I get what Roxanne is saying.
I
in
just
terms of-
wanted to pause for a second. The reason why I was struggling is because the page numbers are off. If you download the docs and don't just open from SharePoint, it does something funky with the numbering.
Oh.
So I'm looking at a different page than you guys, which is why I keep looking over on Ty's shoulder. I'm not sure it's her homework.
That's fine.
It's probably a Microsoft thing. It has nothing to do with MRB, but anyway, so I've now got
Yes, always.
the online one open instead of being, you know, where.
Because there's always gonna be two sides to every argument that, or everything that we have here. There's gonna be people for it, there's gonna be people against it, there's reasons, good reasons for it, there's good reasons against it. I think getting people to think about different options is one thing, but forcing or actually acting like a recommendation is a different thing. I don't think it's written here as a recommendation specifically, but there might be some more language we can add that
Yeah, I mean, I guess I
loosens it up a
understand
little
what
bit more.
Roxanne was saying too, like, more pointed guidance, I think is good, but if it is too specific, then I think maybe people will focus on that, like, first or only, or, I mean, I don't know.
Mhm.
I mean, and I guess I just don't, like, we don't have anything like this in other chapters, right?
No.
Yeah.
Land use is very different than the other
Right.
chapters.
And I,
So-
It's a little less like black and white of what we have, what we don't have.
Mhm.
It's
I guess
interpretation, it's
that's-
dealing with people's properties, it's dealing with money.
I mean, I guess that's
dealing
my
with
point
houses.
too.
Yeah.
More hot.
Yes.
So one last suggestion for my rabbit hole is municipalities will have very large comp plans, right? Hundreds of pages, and their boards do not go through page by page. They look at the goals, policies, and objectives. So if there is concern, that'd be when the zoning code gets updated, be very specific, say the planning board shall review and make sure that projects are compliant with the goals, policies, and objectives of the comp plan, not to open up every page, every word of the substantive, document.
Mhm.
I think I would probably mostly agree with that with the town board. I don't know if the planning board's different. But that's definitely. I mean, the goals and the policies are the summary of what we're talking about this entire chapter pretty much. Like we're presenting the existing conditions, we're proposing some changes, or considerations for some changes in areas where based off of public feedback, there has been requests or there's been an identification to look into areas more, which is then what drives the public or the policies and the goals.
I mean, I
If
guess,
this all goes through it.
yeah, so like the 2009 comp plan. Was there, because I don't know the whole story, but was there too much detail and that's why we don't have any ad committee now, right? Like what was,
No, there's no.
okay, I know.
The ad
there's-
committee is a different situation.
But I thought it was coming from the.
There was an ag committee that was started that drafted and adopted, prepared the agricultural farmland protection plan in 2013. It was active for a very long time. And then there was some disgruntled actions after the 2019 zoning update that it fell apart.
And nothing from the 2009 comp plan though.
No, yeah,
Okay.
no.
Well, I just think there's other areas in here that have these like suggested things that, you know, we should develop the other side of that. Even though people aren't gonna take it word for word, I don't know, it's in there, you know, it's supposed to be the guidance document. I think there should be a little more specificity in term, but still generality, as Caitlin sort of articulated to the objectives, and that we shouldn't have these details. And they're like the one about the density and the runoff and the watershed protection there, you know, that's pretty contextual for this town too. And as Carl just pointed out, you can't even do it almost anywhere unless you have sewer, and we don't, but it, you know, it's like advocating increasing density to protect a watershed. Well, it really depends how that's laid out, whether it protects the watershed or not. If it's a road all along the road frontage, which drains straight into the ditches, it's not necessarily doing a good job with the watershed. So, I mean, I just think these things are complicated, and I don't think we should be advocating one particular methodology without a lot more discussion. And I don't think it belongs in here. Just really don't, but I won't say anymore about
It's
it.
a, well, I,
Strongly
that
my
makes,
opinion.
no, it makes sense. I mean, that would be a committee that it
On the
feels like
record.
that would be work for someone to do down the line to actually really focus on that specific item and not just throw it into a, you know, a plan that everybody has to follow. I think that makes, you know, makes sense to me, Roxanne. But determining which items are okay to stay in and which items are not okay to stay in, it's tricky. I don't know if you have
Well, and then look at
direction for
this
us.
at the lens of, you guys need to get to a consensus that this is okay to go forward with the open house. So if there's anything that really stands out in, you know, section 3, 4, that shouldn't be there, flag it so that maybe that can be redacted for the open house.
So
Okay.
just in the interest of trying to get to a decision so we can get this out to the public and not rushing anything. But I think on page 16, we start zoning and land development regulations. It says section 3, but I think it's supposed to be section 4 because land use was 3. But so these are what our current code calls for, right? So 1 is A2 special agricultural district. Then we talk about the purpose of the A2 district, and then we talk about the county found grounds are the only ones in there. That one I think looks good. Agricultural rural, we talk about what's there. I honestly, I agree. I think this recommendation for how to subdivide or go through for future should come out right now. And we should just stick to the description of what is allowed in that zoning district and where examples are so that people can associate it with something that they might be familiar with.
You're talking about the example.
I think those 2 paragraphs and the map
Yeah,
should
I
come
agree
out.
with you on that.
And that's page 18.
Yes,
At least if you're
for D1, it's presenting what's currently allowed. I think that's fine. I don't see any proposals for anything. But, and I'm not gonna go through every single one, but I think if we can focus this on what's currently allowed in our existing zoning and then bring in some if there's another place for recommendations, but this to me right there, those sections are talking about what's currently allowed in our zoning.
Yeah, the only other comment I made in the way you're doing the analysis, Liz, which I appreciate very much, thank you, is the one about the same as Carl made, the figure there with the density and runoff. which
Yeah, I
is
don't like that
misplaced, it's not even near where the density and runoff is. in
So
the
can you
document.
identify, Roxanne,
It's
which
on page
It's this one,
section you're at? Just
24,
say
it's
it
on
out loud
page
so we have it
24.
for the record. Thank you.
Page
under
24.
Waterberg Hamlet.
Yeah, it's under Waterbury Hamlet, but it's really about something.
It says figure 1.
Right,
Figure 1.
but it
page
relates to
24.
a discussion that's in, for residential zone,
Mhm.
which doesn't refer to figure 1, but if you're gonna talk about something, you should put the figure reference in. Anyway,
And it's under item 15, whatever.
yeah, but it's under item 15, but it doesn't really, it's not really talked about in the Hamlet. Anyway, as Carl said, and the comment I made is that I feel like that's a little bit tacked on in the wrong place, but also that it's quite contextual. You know, if you could have sewer or some kind of package sewer or shared septic or something, cluster somehow, that could be applicable in some small area of the town, but it's not really applicable in hardly any area of the town. And you could also look at it 2 ways. You can, you can get more impervious surface by lining things up a certain way. So I feel like it's really contextual. It's something that needs to be thought about. It's not something that's very general for the way our town is or where we're even likely to be in 20 years with regard to infrastructure
Right.
throughout a lot of it. And so I would like to see that
So that
not
section.
included in here because it's again, very specific.
Okay. And then are there any others within that section that are flagged for too much information or too much detail or too much specificity?
Not that I mean.
I think the other ones. Sorry, I was just looking. I guess the only other one that I'm looking at maybe is under, where am I? Gosh.
I know it's really hard.
Residential
And it keeps going.
zone, and it just talks about the last paragraph under residential zone, which is section 13, it talks about the dimension. No requirements are likely to contribute to sprawling growth patterns. Again, if that we're trying to cut this down to focus on what's currently allowed, that's, I think, would be a great section in the rural issues. That's the next section. So I do think that that's very important consideration when we're looking at future land use. And I think it's more appropriate in the rural issues section as opposed to where our description is right now. My thoughts.
Oh, and the mobile, the MHP, it's number 10, it's page.
Manufactured home park.
Yeah. I can't quite understand what is being suggested here. Is it that we should have more manufactured home parks or only ones where they're on foundations and they meet that New York State definition of a single residence, but grouped together like a mobile home park? Because
Well, is that even something I feel like these are the sorts of things, as I read through some of these things, I'm like, especially this one with all the maps, it's like, these are not decisions like I'm gonna make. This is a decision for our town committees to work on,
what I'm
right?
saying is, it seems like it's suggesting something pretty specific here, expanding those, and it's not exactly clear what we're talking about. And so again, it's got a bunch of specificity and it's a little bit confusing.
Yeah.
And again, it, in the past history, which, is water over the dam, but has been a huge area of discussion and controversy. And so there is a bunch of sides to it. And so I think it's best left to a zoning update
For
with a
sure.
discussion on that rather than recommending.
I think that those last 2 paragraphs too would also be better suited under the rural land use discussion section, not in the zoning section.
Or even not in here, because
Well, I think I mean, if we can correct some of the language to make it clear, I think mobile homes or manufactured home parks, there is a place and a need for those under a diversity, housing diversity.
right, so we already talked about housing. I mean, it would be, this is a specific thing.
Yep.
For town would then think about.
Okay. Other sections that you wanna flag, anybody?
I think there's the gist, if I missed one in the 20 pages.
Jessica, you feel like you're kind of picking up what's going on here and do you have
Yep,
questions?
I think I got most of what you guys have concluded, especially in section 3.
Are we, is section 4 also what we're thinking about before we do the?
I
Math
think that's
exercise?
what Neil said, he wanted to go from all the way to the end. So, we could be done maybe with section 3, move on to the rural issues. Or any other comments in that section or or other.
I don't want to dominate the conversation, sorry. When I was reading through this, to me, I feel like a slightly edited version of this rural issues section should be in the introduction, because that's what this chapter is. It's rural issues and land use. And so, and it really summarizes pretty well a lot of the overarching issues. And then we go in and talk about specifics and things. So to me, the introduction is like one little paragraph long, but like expanding a little bit and having this in the introduction instead of way after all the other stuff would be more, you know, getting people oriented more to thinking about it. And then I just had a bunch of little things that could be included and yeah. And a question like the 6-acre Longman Preserve, like where is that? Like I looked on the Finger Lakes Land Trust because I'd never heard of it and it's not listed anywhere, so I don't see it in the town of Ulysses or anywhere else. So I don't know where that came from, but I'd love to go see a preserve in Ulysses if we have one, but yeah.
Do you know, Jessica, or is that just something, it's just flagged, it is flagged here, I don't know how you wanna respond to that.
What page specifically? Just so I could.
27.
So I mean, this was made prior to me, but I will delete that because obviously you guys are, you know, who knows the community best, so that could definitely be removed.
I mean, I might not
Well,
know,
just
I just
confirmed.
didn't find it, yeah,
Yeah.
on the land use,
You might
on
have
the land
to-
trust site.
Check with the Finger Lakes Land Trust on that.
Yeah, I looked at that map and I looked at their list, and I don't see any.
Okay.
The only one that I'm aware of is over on Willow Creek Road, I believe.
That's a Finger Lakes Land Trust property?
Yeah,
Wow.
the planning board did a subdivision a while ago. Willow Creek, Willow Gorge. Road.
Yeah, is that that little
Bardichevich,
camp, that little
Bardichevich.
camping area?
Yeah.
I wondered what that was.
So on the south part, they put it into, or they put in the land trust.
They don't list it on their website.
That may have been
No,
before.
that was Gorge Road.
It
That's part of
was
Gorge Road.
last year.
But the-
No, it's just not
It
on the
was
land.
Willow.
trust.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, I
There was
saw
the 3
that map.
properties that they split.
right,
about-
yeah.
Okay. So that would be one to.
Maybe it
check
is
on.
there then. I just hadn't heard of it, so I looked on the land trust website, didn't see anything.
Yeah, it's good to get confirmation on that. Okay, anything else in these? Last few pages, anybody?
I think there's several comments in here. But I think they're pretty straightforward.
But do people think that it might make sense to think about moving that into the introduction, this rural issues and lands, because it's kind of general and it sets up the detail. And the introduction right now is just a very short paragraph. This kind of is an introduction into the issues we have, so.
I think I'm hearing you say that because this is like 75% of what our town is, this agricultural, that we should move it up top to the introduction, sort of be like, hey, this is really what we primarily are consisting of,
Yeah,
and here's the problems.
right, and then we go down through this current zoning
Yep.
and we go through this. And it just seemed like it flowed a little better than being after all the other issues, details were brought up.
I think it might be not, I like that idea, and I think that a lot of people might be surprised, you know, because you don't think of that much property. I don't think necessarily everybody understands how planning and zoning and things like that work. And so, you know, they're like, wait, 75% of our town is agricultural, does that mean we're all farms? That, you know, that kind of a mentality, so I think that
Or
that's,
so that way.
yeah, and it's a good clarifying point, I think it's helpful.
Okay, any other comments on that?
Just trying to think of this as, if I was reading this document, do I wanna know what like the regulations are for before I get into the details, and then I look at goals and policies to see how, like. So I'm reading the land use section right now, it's written. I look at the existing zoning, then I go into the rural. And then I go into policies and goals, which are supposed to help kind of fix the issues that are in the rural. Or do I want to have this rural issues up front and then get into the weeds of what kind of how we got to those issues? I could go either way. Honestly. It makes sense to move some of it up. And I mean, I would keep it together, so.
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to be, you know, a little bit tweaked in the wording to flow better in the
Yeah.
introduction, but, you know, it tells what we have, it tells, you know, where we're at. And it tells what the vision is of people in this exercise of the comp plan and everything, so. Then you look at the current zoning we have now, and your head is thinking, does it kind of match with vision? And then you go down to the objectives. Yeah, it was more, made it more.
So the Wildman Preserve is in Ithaca. It is it was donated in 2004. So it does actually exist. I just had to do a little Dr. Googling. It's in Ithaca. I'm trying to figure out exactly where, but I see exactly where it was donated. And this part, it's not listed on the Finger Lakes Land Trust, but it was donated to them to preserve. It's available for research and education, and it was donated by Francis W. Wildman.
So not new.
It isn't in yours.
Nope, it
Okay.
says Ithaca is what I'm
Okay,
doing here.
thanks for finding it.
Do you wanna, I don't know if we need to notate that, or Jessica, you got
She was
that?
just gonna delete it.
Okay.
I got it. Thanks.
So,
What, I just want to say really quickly, I mean, it could be an Ithaca address and still be in the county overseas though, so
Right.
I don't know that I'm giving you concrete evidence except to
Gotcha.
say it does exist.
It
So
doesn't
still
have a
check.
street address.
Yeah, that's
or
what I'm trying
anything.
to find next, so I can find a street
Or we
address,
can
but-
just ask land trust where it is.
Yeah, right, yeah, they would know.
Yeah, sure.
Well, maybe because it's only accessible for education and research, we should just not be highlighting it anyways.
Right, because I'm
Because
gonna
I
send
don't want
other people
people
down
like
a rabbit hole.
tracking through Wildman Preserve. I'm almost leaning towards just.
I would support removing it. think
Yeah,
it's
I
gonna
didn't mean
cause-
to make a big deal. I was just curious what it was. It wasn't on their website. It's good
It's
to
not
know.
a big deal, I was
Yeah.
like, wait.
Anyone
what?
opposed to Jessica deleting
Not me.
it? All right. So, in terms of ordering or reordering, Liz, you had some comments about that. And does anyone have any other input about ordering or reordering? I've definitely had a crazy idea, which is like, I feel like we're so focused on content, and that's what we've been doing, like in an ideal world, there would be a moment to like pause and step away and then come back and read this thing with some fresh eyes, maybe fresh people, I don't know, just to look at it. I know that's what the community is doing, but I feel like we're so focused on content, it doesn't, it tends to get jumbled up. But thank you for that.
But
I like the
this
idea
is
of
our job to
It
focus on the
is,
content,
it-
I'm
well,
sorry.
yes, no, it is, exactly, but like in terms of like organizing and formatting, like, you know, which way it should be or how, you know, how it's best read, like Liz said, like, I'm trying to imagine myself as a reader, like, I'm just gonna sit down and read this thing, like. So if there's changes that need to be made for that purpose, I think it's, you know, appropriate for that to be added in.
Just looking at, I mean, I think from the, I could see going from the introduction, I'm on page 1, the table of contents. I'm going from the introduction, then bringing. Well, I was gonna say, go to rural issues. I think existing land use should come before future land use. In my head. And then zoning and land development regulations, so then goals, objectives and policies. I don't know what others think. I don't know, I feel like we should present what's existing first and then go to future.
We talk about what we have, like, and then what's existing for the land use and. Reordering.
Any other input on that? Okay. Any other kind of big ticket items here to talk about? If no, so what's next? We're almost at our 60-minute mark of this segment. FYI, our allotted time is 60 minutes. So
Actually, sorry, do we talk about land development regulations? We just talk about zoning classifications, we don't go into land development regulations, because we don't look at our, like a saldo or subdivision report requirements or any.
I
Do we need
mean,
to change the title of that section?
it says
second
3.
three.
Yeah,
It's called zoning and land
Should be
development
4.
regulations. But in that's the section that we just kind of switched to focus on what the existing zoning classifications are within the town. I'm being picky here, I know.
right, well, I think the posit to you and or the community is to, if you don't want to talk about your existing development regulations and inherent known issues and how to resolve them, then yes, strike those. However, comp plans do generally talk about known issues that you've discovered in the last 10, 20 years and how you want to resolve that to be a better community. And so that if you know that your subdivision regulations need to change, then that discussion should occur, in my opinion. But if you are omitting that, then yes, it should just be, you know, talking about your zoning.
But isn't it in the objectives and policies, like adapt the subdivision regulations to meet the
So,
goals instead of specific?
so your goal, a municipality's goals, objectives, and policies should come from, right, your vision. We have the vision, very overarching umbrella. But discussion of that should occur somewhere in the body of the text. It shouldn't just pop out of nowhere, because then people are like, why do you have a goal here of XYZ when there's no discussion of it? Right, it should be supported somewhere. Right.
A specific suggestion as to whether that you change, because I really think that should be debated by the town board, and the planning board, and the public, not us in a general sense.
My last kickback would be, that's exactly what this land use chapter for your comp plan is all about.
Well, then I think we have a long way to go, because I think there's really stuff that needs to be hashed out if we're putting that kind of level of detail in and agreed on. It's not what it was about before. Maybe we didn't have a good comp plan before, but
You didn't-
I mean,
Alright.
where did the specificity come from? Like you, RB?
I don't think we had a bad comp plan before, by the way.
And the other thing, I mean,
There's
if
a lot of
you're,
work, a lot of review.
if you
a
don't
lot
have
of good
time
stuff.
for it to do it now, you can always put that as a goal. Like, recognizing that the town does not have time to go into this thorough amount of review, and that it will do so in the future prior to zoning code amendments. It needs to be done before your zoning code amendment. Whether it happens now or later, that's up to you and the community.
I like that asterisk.
Yeah, it's, I mean, I think these are good points and it's the discuss, you know, finding a compromise that suits both perspectives would be ideal. Does that do it? Does that,
It's up to you.
Roxanne, does that solve the?
If we take out the specifics, it solves it for me.
I think there's a way. I think there's a way to. Again, let's just keep rehashing, keep the discussion on the zoning districts just as what is currently in there. But then maybe we add a separate section for like considerations for future zoning. Or lessons learned or something like, take your experiences, Niels, and the planning board's experiences and the zoning board's experiences of what really hasn't been working in our current subdivision and land development and put it in there, high level. Because right now it's not in here. And I don't want to spend 6 months doing this, but I think there's something missing. If this section of this is called land use regulations.
It might be, I mean, maybe this is a good segue. So when I came on board, a lot of information came to me all at once, and more information has been, we found the threads and started pulling. So you had your last comp plan in 2009. And the 2019 zoning code update made significant changes that one could argue was not in compliance with the comp plan.
I'll agree with that.
And there was a lot of information that, or it appears that there wasn't enough public dissemination of information of what was actually happening. So part of the exercise that we'll be doing is looking at the past zoning code or zoning map and seeing how it relates to the comp plan map, current comp plan map, and the future draft land use map. Looking at your subdivision regulations, that is one of the most complicated of all regulations. So that's a big thing.
Sorry, I should make sure I'm on the same page, and maybe my brain is dead today. So when I'm looking at this, like I read each of the sections, and it seems like if there's an issue, they seem to sort of identify like maybe the Waterbury Hamlet, and at the end it says, these are out of compliance, this is a problem. Or instead of keeping it within each of the descriptions of the section, pull it out, put it in another part of the document, or after, like here's all the descriptions, and then afterward you summarize it instead of keeping them. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I think that's fine, as long as we don't say we should change the 1 acre zoning in the ag districts or whatever, like something
No, I
specific
think you're
like
right.
that.
Yeah, I think that
Which
makes,
is what it says now,
yeah, I think that makes sense.
or it strongly suggests it would be better. And that is a matter of controversy and debate.
Yes,
That has
anything
gone
that
on for
regulates, anything that regulates
Right.
what people can and can't do with the property becomes very controversial. Nobody wants to be restricted.
But everybody wants stuff protected.
Not everybody.
Well,
Yeah.
some people,
People just wanna make their money.
Yeah.
right.
Well, and it, you know, it requires
Yes.
people with
Sure.
real expertise through making those decisions, you know what I mean?
Right.
Experience and expertise through making those decisions. So Jessica
right.
made a comment about flagging some of this. Is there any more conversation, direction, discussion, concerns?
Nope.
All right, so where do we go from here?
The fun part,
Yay.
has anyone been able to start the project
I
looking,
downloaded your handy dandy spreadsheet.
I downloaded it also. I feel like maybe I emailed you because I was like, I really need more clarification. And I just, just say straight up, like, it could be just me. Like, I don't really know how to, what our actual goals were, but
so
I looked at everything, but.
for this project, I may rely on Carl because I think he took a good chunk of this on his own a while ago. So the task at hand, and I divided it into 4 sections based on quadrants, and I'll orient you that way. For me, that made sense to look at smaller compartments. Each one of them has an ag district map on it for reference, the current land use map, an aerial map, the future land use map, and the proposed future land use map. And that basically is to look, it's a lot of data, I get that, but to look to see if there's anything that stands out that looks like it's an issue with the current proposed draft land use map.
So I have a question.
Yep.
So I looked at the map and I started like looking at where they would, what the places would be. Help me, what is community services? Like I was looking at some of the blue blobs and I'm like, well, what is there that's considered a community service?
Schools,
Like Racker Center is one that
Racker,
shows up in there.
Daycares.
Yeah, okay, so I was not on board until you started saying that, cause I'm like, yeah, but you look at those blue blobs and I'm like.
Yeah, it was a
What are like
that's-
Namaste, and that.
Okay, so it's a pretty general topic. It could be a daycare, or maybe it could be a yoga studio, things like that. I mean, like, or is that considered what was
A
the
business.
business? Yeah, there was another term. I'm sorry. For some reason, I got hung up on the blue blobs,
That's all right.
and I was like, wait, and because I was trying to correlate what was in each of those locations to make it, and I couldn't pull it together. Okay.
So if it's helpful, I can make a hard copy, but the description of what the land uses are in the very front of the chapter currently. Section 2, future land use. So they have
Yeah.
descriptions.
I think it was more like, all right, so like I'm looking at Houghton Road, right? And there's a big blob that starts off Houghton and goes all the, like, it has like almost like a flag piece, then goes down to 89. Oh, that's the
Oh,
nature
yeah,
center.
That's
Nature
cute.
Center,
Yeah,
Right, I
yeah.
couldn't put that together in my head for some reason. I was having the hardest time with that. I was like, I forget that it's on the Houghton Road side. Okay, see? I just needed to say it out loud before the door.
No, that's fine.
But that's what I was doing, is I was looking at all these things going, okay, well, what is this really? And I got hung up on the blue.
Well, it's like the first time I drove by looking at it, the cemetery right up there by the village. In that corner going, what's this? And then, oh, that, when I drove by on the road and I go to cemetery, oh, okay.
So if anything looks out of place, my suggestion or recommendation is to circle that on the map, make a note somewhere so that we can give this to MRB at the end of the day.
So it's
And you
our
have-
opinion, if we
Mhm.
think it's not, if it's like a dark green, which is the recreational, but we don't really think that that's it, it's just our opinion.
It's your opinion, and then that should be vetted by y'all.
At another time or now?
Now, unless you want to schedule another meeting for the open house,
So I have
which
one
is up to you.
that I noticed that I have a question on, which is low density residential. In the description that's in the chapter, it says it's low density residential in areas generally outside the Tompkins County Agricultural District 2. Well, there is a lot of low density, I guess it's this lime green stuff on this map. And a lot of that, especially the sort of south central part of Ulysses, is in County Ag District 2. So those two things don't
Yeah.
jive. The whole, if you look at the block, Swamp College Road, over to Waterford, cross Iredell to the bottom, and up Jacksonville, that whole square there is definitely in County Ag District 2. Most of the town is actually, so.
So when looking at Ag District 2, keep that with a grain of salt because there's a lot of bad data there, but also I can also print out the water map of existing and proposed that may help too.
on the ag districts, The county went through and updated the maps last year, but we're still using 2021. Is that because it's only, they don't have the
They-
2024 maps available?
So they updated Ag District 2 map, but the data is not great. So for example, cars is listed as an ag use. SureSave is listed as an ag use. A lot of single-family residential lots on 1 acre or less are listed as ag use. So there's significant issues with their data.
But is that
But that's
because no one-
different.
Oh, I'm sorry, requested taking it out? And it used to be in there? Because doesn't it have to be actively requested to be taken out by either the landowner or the town?
For the county,
Or the
they can make
county?
the
Yeah,
recommendation.
I'm not making any recommendation there. I'm just saying, if you look at a map that shows it as being ag use, take that with a grain of salt,
But
because
it-
it's probably not.
Well, I was talking about it actually being in an ag, county ag district, which that is. And
He's
the-
just saying that the data is not.
But the county lists it as an ag district.
Is it
It's
'cause
a
we just
county
finished the
listed
the
ag
year
district,
ag
so
last year?
that kind
Yeah,
of
and it
stuff.
only happens every 8
Every
years.
8 years, yeah,
Yeah.
and I know CCE has most of that, but it's where we
The outlook.
get our
Yeah.
data from for that.
Pines,
Yeah.
That whole area is okay.
So for this process, Niels, what do you want to move forward with this activity?
So I believe up at the top dais is the northwest corner. On the other dais is the northeast, and we can set up the other 2 quarters here, and then work in pairs, work in threes, go from quarter to quarter.
To do what?
Circle and mark up what is wrong.
Yeah, what you want, what you think should be changed.
And to be careful not to conflate it with zoning,
Business.
Right, this is land use.
land use, so.
Future land use, what you
Future
think it
land
should
use,
happen
so
in 20
describe
years.
Because he
What
wanted
would be
to
in
put
those
buildings
categories at
there.
the beginning of this chapter?
Somebody told me it was rural, and it's a business, he had to change it.
And I get that's hard because
Because
you never know if you're gonna get money for infrastructure or not.
Right.
It's strange.
Around,
Yes,
and
but
there's
he had-
food,
he has
there's
another
snacks in the kitchen.
Section. He had,
The maps are spread
there
out,
was
right?
2
That's-
parcels, the front
We have
parcel and the
two-
back parcel.
Yeah, let's give clear instruction on what we're doing. and
Yeah,
what
Interesting,
actions
I don't know
we do
anything
that.
about that, I'll have to.
Timeframe is up to you guys whenever you guys are done,
Okay.
or if you want to table it for another meeting before the open house.
And this has to be done before the open house, which is in.
Either that, or you should be comfortable with.
Do we have another meeting for the open house right now? We
No,
have to
currently.
schedule. So where are the maps that we're supposed to look
Yeah,
at?
so what are give us clear instruction. on what we're doing.
Yeah.
There's one set up here.
Okay.
There's one
There's
set
one
with here.
Wait, these are all different sections, or they're all the same?
It's all exactly the same. It's a set and another set.
Okay, of all the same.
So this is the northwest quadrant around the village. This is the northeast quadrant.
Okay.
Some of them are, never mind.
They are not, let's
Yeah.
get clear instruction on
Yeah,
what we're doing.
let's-
Let's have clear instruction. Where are we starting when and what are we doing?
Okay, so for example, this is the northeast quadrant. Yeah,
It's organic park.
you've got the map of the ag district. There's the overall land use map, future land use map of the whole town. There is a worksheet. There is your current future land use map. We have an aerial map. We have
Current land use.
the current land use data from the county. So this is what the county tax assessment designates, which gives you a little bit more hands-on info. And this is the future land use map for this area. So this is what I would like to see circles on, saying
Yes, no, we like it, we don't like it. That's not really what
not
this
so much
is.
for yes, we like this, more like this needs to change or this should
This
change.
is wrong.
This is wrong. This is not what this is.
A house, it's not
Okay,
an industrial facility.
right.
So,
Okay.
so this is current land use. So current land use doesn't necessarily coincide though with zoning.
Current land use is county data for the tax.
Okay.
So it's a little bit more realistic.
All right, wait, so do we have,
We have,
do we have?
Okay, we do.
This is not gonna sit here then.
That's what I'm.
Right here, that's- I'm gonna stand for a little bit because I had hip surgery and I can't sit for so
Did you have a
long.
replacement? Dr. Blake?
No.
Oh, Syracuse. Yeah.
He does a different approach.
So which section?
Was
are we doing?
amazing.
I
Yeah.
will
Great.
note this.
Well, unfortunately, I'm doing no section.
You're
I gotta
leaving?
leave soon, yeah, but
Okay.
I can discuss.
You
this
get
with
hip
you.
replacement. I can-
Oh, my dad is done, so I just.
This is the
Going through
southeast
that
corner.
with him. Okay.
Well, Southeast is sort of my part.
So that's the ag map. This is the county's land use data, which shows more accurately
know
what's
what
going
this
on versus
part-
your zoning map.
Yeah, so it's kind of like from.
Aerial map,
up to
future land
down
use
to-
map,
And this is
currently,
more up.
and then this is the proposed drop land use map. So for example,
This
this is
is-
Alright, so that's what I just
future.
wanted to-
yes, townwide,
And this
which is the same thing here, Mo. This is
Just
just,
a chunk
Without
of
it.
Purple's
Yeah.
industrial.
Yeah, and so I
Okay.
have just.
So we're out.
I mean, industrial.
They can get past the
Uh,
core.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
are
yeah.
they talking about
no,
making it
I
and then
think
being
this
very
is the
specific on what it is?
storage.
because
What
it
is,
can be a
So
lot
this is
of
the boat
things that
sales
people don't
or
want
boat
or are not
storage.
familiar with.
Mike's
Right,
running.
so that's what I'm
believe.
doing, and that's. I'm looking at
that's
blogs,
the
and I was like,
storage
what is
area.
here
I'm
now?
curious
So, like,
about
there's
this
like
right
right
here being, is this because it's the motels?
So, all right, here's
Part of
acre,
your
so this is
square?
the,
Ulster
this
Square.
is gonna be the ring.
And we can bring up a computer with
This
a
is the diamond thing.
Right.
But
So
there's
we're
street view at the
here,
notes.
so what would that be?
Okay.
That was my question, I was like, what would be industrial there? I guess it's
this must be
pictures,
the
so somebody
numbering yard?
must have-
I feel like without a good,
Let's see.
really good
Isn't that
description
the
of
one
what is and is not.
Where's
industrial,
Agard
it's
come
not.
across?
It's very slippery slope, 'cause
I know, it's so
I'm just
small.
thinking about
That's
that.
Perry, that's Perry City. No, this is,
Yeah.
this is up
Yeah,
in,
industrial was.
oh, this is
No,
like
and it is-
Jacksonville
I
Park,
mean, it's
isn't it?
confusing.
No,
No,
it's not Jacksonville Park.
Not allowed to
What's the color?
industrial.
That's industrial.
Yeah. And the only industrial,
No,
oh, could that be the,
Jacksonville Park. Wow, that is minuscule. Look at the print on
lot
this.
of-
I know, it's so
Yeah.
small, you can't see it.
Right, so I was trying to figure out what would be industrial on Brook Road. And
No,
it's just
this is
confusing,
Perry-
it's like,
yeah, Jacksonville Park is gonna be right
here.
here.
So we're looking at this one, right?
Somebody has their roaster out here on the Crumbs Corner area.
It says
Well,
it
there-
applied
I saw something,
to
one about some
It says
business
it's right
up in there, but I don't know what.
existing traffic for use
This is
that
the piece that's-
currently.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Current
So
use is
Jacksonville-
primarily light industrial and light
Yeah, so
manufacturing.
Yeah.
Is on
Talking about.
Swamp College. This is the
Yeah.
park.
That's the park. What's that down? Oh, is that the paving? No, that's not the paving. That's the paving station.
There's a.
Oh,
Yeah, because it's, their last name is Moore, they get their mail all the time. That's
So
other
there's
why I
like,
don't
here's
got
the
it.
examples that are in there, commercial compost, lumber yards, cabinetry,
What,
furniture.
what is this particular
Oh,
part right here?
review and automatic automotive repair, junk yards.
But I
Oh,
think
it's not here,
different
here it's not.
It's the same
It's industrial.
piece. It shows
Well, and
the-
the compost is over here on Acre,
Hmm.
so that.
But it's
That's
not
interesting.
right?
Well, actually, we need to bring it up on the computer on there,
So that's.
and nothing else, get a street address.
And
Oh,
rural
and the new, on the
residential.
future, it's also.
Yeah, no, I was like saying, just bring it up and get a street address.
Here, let me, I can just pull it up on this. So we're talking Jacksonville, what was the cross street?
Alright, so hold on.
It's just below, it's just below,
That's Perry, between Perry Cities above it,
yeah.
so it's down in the south.
Interstate, oh, Indian Creek.
I added that to the
Is
comments.
it Indian Creek?
Oh,
There's
wait,
Iredell.
we have this stuff.
Is it above or below?
It's above,
There's Crumbs Corners.
it's above Crum, where Crumbs comes across. This is, That's
Oh, no, isn't
Jacksonville.
that-
It looks like it's.
No.
No, oh, that's Crumbs Corner comes right into here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's north of Crumbs Corner of 96.
Okay, so
Before-
Crumbs
Oh, maybe,
Corner
yeah.
is here,
I'm trying to think, but I don't-
and just north, so Stick and Stone Farm
Unless it's that marina up
So,
there.
right, that-
Mike's
is
Marine
Mike's Marine
Service.
Service.
And
Dolph
it's
Glass
not
Studio.
Mike's Arena should be.
There's a
Not
storage
96
place.
storage.
The colors, because my brain is a little OCD, and I can't make a decision until it knows exactly what that property is. And so then I'm like, I get stuck on the street, and I'm like, what is that? Why would that be?
That's the junkyard on Brook Road, right?
There's a junkyard.
Folks.
Oh, that's all right. I have a few minutes.
Oh, it's like. almost buried.
Oh, I'm in Harrisburg, huh? A little off. Well, I was just in Harrisburg.
Minor adjustment,
Well, I was just there yesterday, so.
because this is Van Dorn Corner, it's coming.
There's
From
Jacksonville Road.
So you're looking north
North of
on
96,
96,
about halfway to,
from Crumbs Corner.
about before you get to Van Dorn.
Alright, so 96, so here's the.
There is before
There's a
Van Dorn
restaurant.
Corners.
So there's the storage, there's a restaurant here. Mom was
It's like that, I'm sure that glass studio is.
This is Crumbs Corner, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's right up in here. So what the hell's up there?
It was about 96 storage. What's that big building?
I don't know what that is. This here,
Regional
but it
access.
doesn't have the
It's a development.
Well, that's,
big building. Storage?
it's probably the
Could be
storage
storage.
place.
Stick and Stone,
Yeah.
regional
It's-
access.
It's
on the
96
left.
storage is here, so they must own this parcel here. There must be the driveway, the store, they must own this section
Okay,
here.
commercial.
Yeah, then it
It's
comes
neighborhood
back in, so it's probably the storage
It's,
place.
So are we,
Primarily. to
so we're agreeing that
accommodate
that
denser
then is
residential
industrial?
community and a range of allowable non-residential
So now we're
to
down,
support the communities, including.
where are we? Oh, here, this is all,
They're
this is the
primarily
other store, this is the big
Right.
storage place that they
Hamlet or
redid.
neighborhood node. Well, there's houses.
There's Mike's Marina right here. That would be
Residential.
Mike's
dwelling
Marina,
units,
the storage place
if
here.
Non-residential would complement the residential such as retail.
This is really screwed up.
Establishment, office and
It really
service.
is.
So
Well,
is
here's
it?
Crumbs
are the
Corner.
areas.
Is it?
So
screwed up?
this is, well, this, they're saying this is business.
Industrial.
Neighborhood mixed use, but it looks residential to me, doesn't it?
Well, is this where the,
Well, this is
This is
where,
the-
Hamlet, but it's
this
not.
place
I mean,
here,
I
this
guess
chunk
you
of
could
blue,
Yeah,
this is, this chunk of cornfield in between here is
Yeah.
where Dollar General
right
wanted to go
here,
in.
yeah, right there.
Right, and Lambert paving is
It's
north
right
of
here,
it.
yeah, right
And
here.
then what used to be the Renovus is
Yeah.
this other piece here.
Right, it's design, trade
Right.
design
Trade
building.
design now, and
Yeah,
it's all houses around behind there, that's just a cornfield in that corner.
yeah, I wish we could print these on there so we know what they are, because it really is hard to do.
Yeah,
And then this part here, okay, so we're here,
that's
This is
that
that road.
corner.
this is the corner, there's nothing, what is this? Ithaca Pools, oh, Ithaca Pools, the furniture place. Okay, so that little section there,
If that doesn't happen.
okay, and then there's all residential over here.
Yeah, so we're just.
We're just doing the-
Okay,
So
so
we're
we
just doing
figured that one. So now,
Literally,
let's
the
go
only
up
thing we've answered
one.
our questions, this is the Waterbury Hamlet.
So that's Crumbs Corners.
Yeah, right there, and so right here is something,
Oh, yes, the
whatever
county
this
calls it
might be,
LOW
right here.
preserve.
Well, there's a house in the corner,
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
and then the
But
next
it's clearly
chunk of red behind it is that business
luck.
you were just looking at.
this one.
Yeah.
give me coffee?
Because on the
Is that Crumbs Corner?
it says it's-
That's right off
it says
of
it's
Crumbs
down by
Corner.
That's
Yeah, I
gimme
wonder what
coffee.
that- that's what?
It's gimme coffee.
Oh, this is
There's that
Gimme
big an
Coffee?
assembly?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
They have a big like.
Okay.
That's
factory
that
spot
chunk of
up
red.
there.
Red, but this one here, which is they're saying is just a house
There's a
lot.
house there.
Yeah, because you can see the outline. And then there is the school, yes, and then there is Mike's Marina, which is right here.
Part
Okay,
of it is.
so then the next one was this one up here,
Yeah.
which we said was the storage place right here. It's just that it looks a little stranger.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
now let me
Danica
look
definitely.
at this
The
one.
nature center is
Wow.
definitely. So
Because
anyway,
I thought that
already
he
have something I
told
didn't
me
know.
he did not own. Take it. Wow. Where is
So what is this?
Where
What is
is
this?
he?
Okay, hold on, what is this?
Well,
This
as
is-
soon
Oh,
as
there
you
it is,
started
Moore's
it,
You
Marina.
got your young eyes,
Okay.
that's it,
So
yeah.
he wanted, see right here, he wanted to put a
And
building
then what's the
back
cross
here.
over
When,
here?
when
So
he was
there's-
here, he was talking about putting a covered building, but he was told that
This is
this was
That's Cold Spring.
residential.
Okay.
That he
So
would
that
have
means
to
Browns
change
is
it to
here.
a business.
So this one's current.
Maybe that is the-
So
And this
his
is
property follows the street
Okay.
right
Yeah,
to
yeah.
about here somewhere. So that's why I questioned that.
Yeah.
So wait,
For-
sorry, this is the
It's the.
Yeah, the one that's all green
current
is the
one, and
current.
this is our future.
Right,
that
this
we're
is the new
thinking
one.
about.
That makes a lot more sense.
Okay.
Niels, I have a question, because when this section here, which is Moore's Marina, when he came in, he talked about putting a building in the back. And he was told that that was residential, so he couldn't do it. But here you have it set as commercial. And I can see it here, it's just trees, I mean, there's nothing back there.
But I don't
So
think it
that's
should be
the
in
land use
industrial
map.
if
That's
it's
the-
right next to a-
So think of
next to
this
a-
as your primary land use of that
Yeah,
parcel.
yeah.
Not the entire thing,
You
but
got it.
primary use.
Literally. That's
So the
exactly
development
one you got.
district
Right, so
limits
like if
it
that
to
was
just the
gone,
front. If you look at it, it
that's-
limits the development only to like that portion there.
Right, that's all he developed, right,
Yeah.
but he
Okay,
wanted
I
to
can
put a
update the
storage
spreadsheet
building in
too.
the back.
Yeah, he'd have to change the development district regulations for
He
that.
would, okay, on that particular section, okay, okay.
The same time. I guess they-
So we figured out what all of this is, what were these up here?
So kind of look at that's boundaries.
Yeah.
Oh, that's probably Mama Seed.
Yeah, that, but
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
there's
Mama
two,
Seed.
yep, there's two.
Like, how do we know the person?
So that's not even
Two right
referenced
beyond
here.
Van
Here
Dorn
it
Corners.
shows,
Van
it should be agriculture.
Here's Jacksonville,
So that's one of the issues I have with this map.
Cold Spring.
But so what, I'm still not
Yeah,
exactly
yeah.
sure what I'm,
You
where
gotta
we're
get back
supposed to.
Perry City.
Like, are we
There's
just
Perry
saying,
City.
this is here, but
Yeah.
it's not there, and then like,
Yep,
To the corner.
or every single
and
building somewhere.
So
See.
focus on this
And
one.
then just north of there. is
So,
another-
for example, if this were reversed, so say that this is Mama said, right?
That's Mama
Yeah.
Seed.
Because they could-
But this shows it that it should be agriculture. So if this was different, like say this map showed agriculture and you're like, whoa, wait, that's actually
so
commercial.
this little section here,
Circle and
Yeah.
go.
and then this little section here, so
We're just
really,
making sure
on
this
the
is
other
right.
side is another,
Yeah, another
And these are-
business.
yeah, I don't know if it's a
Correct,
business,
that's not
I
right.
don't see a name in
This isn't
it.
right, but it's good
But
background.
yeah.
It
could-
is.
It's mostly this one
could be.
to show you what's, so this is the tax map that shows you more of what's actually going on.
Mhm.
I tried.
Yeah. You're doing fine.
So I don't think we found anything here.
Not so far, it jumped out, sitting with a problem with it.
No, this is, we know what all of this is here,
We
that's not,
checked.
that's not
Which
It's
is.
mostly
a
the
problem.
We checked,
Camelot.
yeah, we checked.
This is really mixed up in here.
Where's
I know.
Oh,
Yeah.
It should all be,
mostly,
I almost heard.
most of the blue areas are
Yeah.
Jacksonville, Hamlet.
That's what I was hearing in my mind there, that's hilarious.
And currently served.
And it has some
by
funny
or
lines to the
anticipated
hamlet itself.
Sure does.
and or sewer.
Definitely does.
Interesting though, if you look at the
And even funny
census-
houses that are shaped like
If
a
you look at the
triangle.
census, though, the census for Jacksonville is actually like that.
Yes,
Yeah.
It's pretty large.
it is big. Mhm.
Yeah.
yeah, I think this area needs
And I mean, that
improvement,
is
that's
in
for sure.
contrast to-
Well,
Because it's-
to me, it's surprising that this would be considered, but see, this is when I'm like, I don't think I'm qualified to say if this is medium density or low, because I
Well,
don't know,
and.
I don't have all that
But-
locked in my.
And their
Putting-
medium density is a little different than what our current zoning is and that sort of
Okay,
stuff.
that's gotta be it.
But also you have medium density with industrial
But that doesn't.
or commercial.
Well, it's
Well,
commercial,
commercial
it's
makes sense to
existing
me,
there.
but.
The
medium
storage
density
area,
In that area, I'm like, this is a lot of just.
Yes, but commercial can mean almost anything besides storage area.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, you can be putting small manufacturing there in the middle of a housing area.
Well,
So,
Manufacturing, I'd say, would be more industrial from a planner's perspective,
Yeah.
not commercial. Like, commercial would be more like your
No, it's not too
shopping.
It is.
right, right, right.
Oh, that one.
But this is also a water district, like, you have a water line that goes pretty much all the way
Yeah.
down.
Yeah.
right,
It's the only one.
right. And the other one branch comes right down Van Dorn Corners Road because the water tank is right here. And then comes down to there. And then it goes out on Cold Springs Road. And also this piece of Perry City to Jacksonville or Jacksonville.
And the footprint is so small. It's
Yeah.
really impossible.
Well, this is Honeybee Lane. So there is a water line that comes across here to Jacksonville and goes down that way
Right,
too.
we're right at the end of the water line,
It's
but
a
I was
short
gonna
one.
say that's not.
And that's the cemetery in that corner. And then this is all houses in here, houses along there. All right, let me let you get out of here.
Okay. There's something, there's our.
Did you do your next adventure?
It's dinner with friends.
Well,
When they're
that's
out
fine.
of town, they
Where
only
is
came
it?
here for
Where is
one
it
day.
then?
Yeah, this really,
Where's the?
this area should have been more commercial in
So
here,
here's the-
unfortunately.
Yeah,
But they already split up. These are probably all houses.
Yep.
And that really should be marked out. I know it's medium density, but we don't know if there's houses here or not. That's the problem. They should really be marked as a.
well, some of this is,
No, that's not.
you know, you already got a lot of housing, you got water.
Yeah, yeah.
So the idea of getting the houses built in here instead of out here. tearing
Oh,
up
yeah,
the
definitely,
farmland,
yeah. But here,
Makes good sense.
but this is the section where the houses can go, because look at these lots for, especially for cluster homes in here and here and here.
This is where that old, this is Perry City, so
Right.
that old poor farm
Right, the
is
poor
right
farm,
in
yeah.
that corner. This is all woodland in that corner. And now here they've just recently put in tiling.
Yep, yep, yep.
So this will
Here's the
definitely stay
image.
farmland.
Oh, yeah,
in this
all,
section.
yeah, all of this, most of this
Yeah,
was.
but this corner in here,
See, that would be a good spot, this whole area for sort of like cluster homes, because the lots are big.
right.
So you can put
Oh,
density
yeah.
of, 2 acres. If it's a 50-acre lot, you put 25 homes.
You know, the
in
one
there.
that I've been finally realizing that's a prime candidate,
Yeah.
there's sewer in this village.
Oh, yep, yep, yep.
This patch of cornfield up there
Yeah, yeah.
would be
So that,
for
let's go.
high
see if we can
density
find this one and
housing,
see if we can make a
that would be the
correlation.
place to put it.
Yeah.
Because you can
This- I
tap
think
in the
so.
sewer
I
water
don't
If
know
they
that
let
we
you,
have where
they
we-
would.
if they let you,
Well, or-
because I think they have a problem with
Yes,
their sewer.
well, they
Yeah,
they
yeah.
updated a bunch of it.
Yeah, but it's still a small footprint. That's the
Yeah.
problem.
Oh, those are also.
Okay, keep going.
All right, we'll work on it.
Okay, so that water.
They're on the side. That's not. So we're, what are
There's
the
a cemetery there.
Yeah, cemetery, Waterford, what road?
There is a cemetery there.
I drive it every day.
And that looks like it's about the same distance, right? Wait, what's yellow?
Waterford off Indian Fort, low density. Well,
Nope,
no,
that's
that's
definitely not
subway.
it. So are they trying to?
Yeah.
McMillan is
Subway
just
and
the wrong
then
side of the road.
sheds are always for sale. Yeah. So,
We're not getting to that.
it's crazy.
You have a lot of faith in us.
Yep.
That's a water map, it's
Where are
not
we?
a great map, it's.
So
Can
do
you
we need
magnifying
to,
glass, let me know.
so Niels, do we need to like pause and say we're 15 minutes? early? So Niels is saying that our options would be to stay and go for another hour. Or have a second meeting. Have another meeting before
There's
the
two
open
options.
house.
Those are the two options I see. But-
So we could take other options if people have other options, other ideas for options. We either stay or we schedule another thing before the open house, because this has to be done before the open house. Is that right? All these items need to be completed before we do the other open house.
So for the land use maps, we could set up a place at town hall for people to come in. Yes, what else do we need? What else I don't have my agenda? Okay, super.
Seeker and the intro chapter.
So how does this one handle? Feels like a lot to do in 20 minutes or
Yeah.
16 minutes.
I don't mind staying a little late.
I'm fine with staying and get through it. Now, these things here, like this details,
I should not start doing some exercises.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
So if something is right now a development district, but is purple on a map for the future, if we're finding the right property, how was it determined to be changed to industrial in a future land use map? Maybe maybe just.
Remember, DD3 is this zoning distinction.
Yeah, I get
which
it.
is different than land use.
But yeah, but it doesn't, there's no correlation. This is sort of an outlier. We can't figure this one out. The other ones all make sense,
Is it
right?
the Stover one?
No, it's
There are two Stover properties.
it's not the junkyard, but it's on 96 right before Smart Start.
So it's part of Stover, so that's the lumber yard.
Oh, so that's
Yeah,
not the,
yeah, that's not the car.
that's not the car place?
That's over here.
It's considered industrial? I mean,
Yeah.
are we
Lumber-
gonna have a really good definition of industrial?
it-
Because that
here it is.
spans a huge.
Yeah,
So
right,
just
well, then
like
I think it
that's-
should be called like light industrial or something, because industrial is really.
You should be focused.
Heavy stuff,
We
yeah.
were, and then
I
this
I
one
just
just
think
caught
it should
us off,
be
so we're
called
trying to-
something.
we're trying to
I
do a
don't think
comparison of
anybody
what
in
this
this town
was.
wants
Yeah, so we
industry.
were doing our due diligence, but that's
There's
apparently
good
still
storage.
a little bit Stover.
And it's
Next time.
Good
just send it to me.
Large.
that we want
Woman.
put there, what we thinking.
I'm just saying,
I don't know
there's,
if my
industry's not bad. There are bad industries, but not all industries.
Well, then you need to have a really good definition of what's.
No, and
Yeah,
that's
that's
what-
what these
thank
things
you. That-
flying
that's
the way
what's
it
in the
is.
But it's light industry.
Oh, shit, they jumping
So
on
in
this
terms of
thing.
how we're gonna have the rest of
We're
this
doing our due
pan out,
diligence.
Were you able to get to any of
I
the
think,
other quadrants
let's
yet?
make a decision on how we wanna move forward.
Well, I
I
had
don't
gone
know if
through
I
a lot of
can
this
work
stuff and figuring out all the land out there and everything,
Just
just
like
driving
I
around,
wouldn't
looking
wanna
at it,
raise
and
I
trying
don't
to
wanna
get a
raise
better
everything.
feel. I
In
can
fact, I
certainly
don't think
walk
that
through
should
the
be our
other
goal.
quadrants,
Yeah.
that's why
And I
kinda
feel
blew
like
'em up,
that-
and
I feel like everything's
did-
gonna be- Yeah.
the southwest down there, I was
I did
kinda
as much as
surprised.
I think
when you
it
get
takes
down
like a
along-
lot.
No, I agree, the intro chapter was where I got really stuck
Got a lot of
today,
issues,
because.
yeah.
No, I think that's why it's only
Yeah,
It's like
incredibly.
But like down here on,
Like, you're
this
pretty
is
close.
Waterbury,
No, I agree. I
But
get
these houses
stumbling
in
over just
here,
like I can't even read the
this is
sentence.
the
I
one
know,
that they wanted to
exactly,
do
I'm
cluster
fixing
development.
the-
we are
But
reading
there's a
for
house
it.
there,
No,
right, and
it's-
they're building a
That's
second
okay.
house.
No,
I
it's
was
just letting
But
you
it,
know.
No, I
they
know
still
that
wanna
the
use it
word
as
I
ag
guess is
land, so
actually
leaving it as
concerned
ag
that I
land,
have.
they
It's a
take
concern
part.
I will not, that's not ready.
You know, and-
No, it's definitely not ready.
You know, other than for this group
But
of
so anyways,
houses here, this
regardless
is.
about today,
must be
since we have 2 more minutes
Jacksonville.
for today, so voting for moving on, Kim.
No, that's
You're
Podunk
you're
County.
on
Yeah,
how-
there's
how
a lot
to-
of,
on how to,
that's more recent
I am
developments
sort of at the
down in
point
there.
where I'm
You know, this
working all day
area
and
here
having
is
a
that
dinner,
real
so I don't
watery
know
area.
how much
So we just split another
focus I'm
property.
gonna have.
and we'll go.
in
So
the
that
next-
makes sense,
So,
you know, this is all houses. in
Seeker,
there
I'm
through
very
there
familiar
anyway.
with Seeker because I've
But
done it more than once.
Essentially for me, this bulk of
But I
this
don't know how
area, that
everybody
is
else
real
feels.
cropland out
I mean,
there.
and I don't wanna stop
And
progress,
leaving
so
it
if the
dead,
rest of the
that
team
is
says
this
they can stay,
chunk
I can gut it out.
In here,
I mean, I can stay for like
Makes sense.
15,
Yeah,
20 minutes.
and they
Yeah,
tile
that
all
would
this
be
other
fine.
stuff
That's
out here
fine.
just in the
I
I
last
thought you
year.
were like saying a few
And
more
they did
hours.
pick
but
up-
they're not,
Like
yeah.
over here where,
okay, we extend, we go past.
The
our
chicken
dinner,
farm,
Thank you for the
they just tiled
clarification.
that.
I am
She's
If we
split
wanted
the
to,
house off.
if we wanted to
Like,
secure and
they've
then
got
bond.
cleared up.
Okay, so are we?
Now the
then
piece of
putting this
land
aside,
sitting
or we
around
just
behind
try
it
to
is
come
just
back to
vacant
this
land
either
back there.
We're actually
No,
in the
during
No,
our
that's that big
section.
hay,
We have the easiest section.
I don't
field up there
understand
that
how
they
to-
tiled, it
still,
all
I don't know how
drains
to
out
note
this corner down
this.
here.
Because
yeah,
the
it's
description for rural
Pretty good, that's why I
residential
was going
says
through it and that,
areas
and
that
long
are
term,
not,
this
that
piece
are
along
not in
Garrett Road, or
the,
not Garrett, but
ag
Curry in
district.
here.
Not
That's-
really. That
If you're
would-
gonna expand
In
water
the
and
Tompkins
that
County
kind
Ag
of
District,
stuff.
and there
That
are
area
legal
here is all
ramifications
solid
of
houses.
being
No,
in ag
exactly.
Essentially
And listen,
closes
I feel
the
So
like
I
loop down
know
here,
it's
pick up
not
Mayo
the way
Road
it
on the
actually
way back.
is, but
And you
there
got a
are
complete
legal
loop.
ramifications.
So we'll have
Here's
this,
instead of-
that's
Yeah.
actually so available to
I
us
think
during
this was
town
the
hours
first
here.
water line, so
And
they're,
also,
it's kind of
but are we going
defined,
to
but
do
if
it?
they have.
Yeah, I mean,
There's a
honestly,
water
now that I know
line.
that.
Now-
Well,
now I
there's
know how to
one
do
that
it.
goes out here this
Okay.
way that they
I
used to have a
don't
well
know,
out
yeah,
here.
so like I'm not, I
That comes
won't,
in, that's
I mean,
really
I
like
need to
80
look
years
at
old.
something online. but
And
I
then the
haven't
one
really
down
had time
here,
for
this
business
is village
until,
water that comes down both Pennsylvania and South
I will
Street
be hopefully
extension
back in
to
time
here,
for business.
comes down across
we
and
actually-
eventually goes out on Indian Creek.
So.
And
You can go look the other
No,
ones,
we're
we're
good.
we're good with this section,
And
thank
then
you.
it stops at cars and it comes in.
There's lots more.
This is the one where
So,
the discussion
but
is
for
the
next
houses
steps,
along here that
This
are on
will,
it.
oh,
But
yeah, there
no
will be
but
here,
village.
people would stop in
Not by the town.
until the
And
open
there's
house.
some question of who's
Okay, and on.
actually on it or isn't on it,
And
and that
on
sort of stuff.
SharePoint, okay,
But it,
and
and
then,
the other water
so
line
right now,
comes
we're
clean
gonna
down
just
here to
set this
Durling.
aside
You
and
know,
finish up,
This is
try to
the one
finish up our,
coming
we
down
can't do the
Cold Spring.
introduction.
Just do
Where'd our,
Seeker,
And
just,
then
I'm
like
gonna go back to
Terrell
the
down
just do
in here.
Seeker and then
You know,
Yeah,
they
it's
have
MRV.
all the houses on it.
I think we should
You know,
all.
She
you
might
really
have
got a
moved
lot
to
of
that
houses
area.
down in those areas. I think
Not-
designated.
Sorry,
you know,
it's hard to hear.
No, that's okay.
When I looked at it, I go, you know, this looks,
So but how do we want to?
it
Based
would
on
be
the
much more
traction
workable
here.
than the green blob.
right there.
deal.
I think the introduce chapter, everybody needs to.
I'm not a fan of polls.
Yeah, no, this does a much better job as far as I'm concerned.
It's not ready for public.
But I think we're supposed to talk about it this evening. Okay, should we just like come back together and, okay, so I
Yep.
think what's gonna happen here with the maps is that Caitlin's gonna set it up here in the town hall somewhere.
Yeah, we'll put it probably in the conference room.
So this will be in the
little
conference room
back there. Okay.
and it will stay there until October sixth.
We'll have people move it back and forth, so it might, like, if there's needs going on.
It'll be available until October
I'm just gonna
6th.
write it.
And also now that we know what we're supposed to be doing and looking at, you can also do it online on SharePoint. What's our deadline, Niels?
Well, the 6th is the open house. So,
They have to have time to update it before that.
yeah, they need time to be able to take whatever changes.
So
You
what do you think our
recommend.
deadline should be?
Jessica, how much time does your team need to make changes to the GIS for the FLUM?
Probably not long at all, because we have the data now all set up in our GIS system. It's pretty quick. If you guys are clear on the identification of what needs to be changed.
If they have until the end of day on October 1st, which is Wednesday, is that enough time to turn around for the open house on Friday or Monday?
Yeah, I'll make sure that it happens. Yep.
So please get comments by the end of day, October 1.
Okay, so all comments by October 1. Thank you, Jessica, for being willing to just extend that out a little bit. You can come here and look at it, or you can do it online. Okay. That's where that's at. So, Niels, are we still needing to determine land use element and future, no, we're tabling that. Next, we just need to do seeker, is that right?
I
Or
think there's
was there
going to be
anything
more
else?
discussion on the intro chapter than seeker. So if we can jump to the intro chapter.
I didn't know if we wanted to just try to get through secrets to finish it up.
Okay.
Because we only have 15, 20 minutes where people can stay with.
Yeah.
If we wanted to get something done about it today. As opposed to.
So do you want to not do seeker today?
Seeker would be faster if you want to check something else off.
Okay.
I think, I imagine based on how much conversation was in land use introduction, we'll have more, getting more comments in. I reviewed it today. You know, there are other comments in there already. Getting everybody's comments on that would be, I think, probably helpful. I mean, I guess maybe another meeting on that one.
So, okay, so how do you want to go forward? Do I do seeker and then come up with a meeting to go over with the intro chapter?
Okay, so, sorry, I'm gonna walk back a little bit.
Yep.
So previously, when there were recommended changes, it came from the committee as a whole. MRB would take those changes and then do a poll to the committee to make a vote on. If we're going back to the land use map, if we're compiling individual comments to October 1st, that's not going to give MRB enough time to really compile everything and then do a poll to get a consensus that yes, it's good to go. Are you okay with that, or do you want to submit your comments in advance of October 1st? And then the same question is for both seeker and the intro chapter.
Okay, what do you guys think?
So obviously, I think the intro is really important, but the intro really shouldn't be introducing anything new that the chapters aren't covering. So I would wonder even if we could do the release to the public, but continue to make edits at the next scheduled meeting, as opposed to trying to come back and do it. In other words, have people put in their comments. And by, I don't know, by
October 1.
whatever date, not the first, but Sunday. I don't know if that gives it much more time.
The 28th.
Yeah. There already are comments in there.
There's a lot of comments in there.
Yeah.
So Caitlin, are you suggesting to have it rewritten for the open house meeting or to have everything else and keep working on that past the open house?
So I guess what I was suggesting is kind of a combination of that, which is if we could all get our comments into MRB in the draft itself by the 28th. And then they compile that and we submit that compilation to the planning or to the open house. But then at our whatever our next meeting, and I forget the date, but at our next meeting after that, we can discuss that more in detail. Because there really should not be, like I said, there shouldn't be anything in the introduction that's not already reflected in the chapters we've already released. So content, so it should be just really the refinement. So maybe, but I think we do need to have a conversation before we send it in a final version. So that was kind of like splitting the bathwater or splitting the baby. I'm just getting all my metaphors mixed up. Baby and water. Sorry about that.
Or maybe we just don't really need an introduction for that open house because people are gonna be looking mostly at the chapters anyway, was the idea, right?
Does the entire comp plan have to be released for public review? Because that is a good point, the intro.
Well, for the open house, maybe
Yeah.
not. The committee is slated to have one final hearing on the whole thing.
Yeah.
So you'll have discussions on an intro chapter later, so you could pull the intro chapter, definitely, if you want, from the open house.
I would push them to have comments in sooner rather than later because if we push too much farther, it's just gonna be more in October. So we really need to be at our next meeting prepared to have substantive conversation on both lines of version.
But the next meeting is. not
That's the
the
eighth.
right,
Or
but it's
the
right
open house,
after,
so,
though. We pull it from the open house. Everybody still work through and update, edit, comment on the intro chapter, and then on the 8th, we'll discuss it so that we could then release it for the public for the public hearing. I think that's fine.
So
A
what's
lot
our
of people focus on
deadline?
the deadline.
Yeah, what's our deadline then for the intro chapter? If we do that, we pull it from the open house.
Sunday, the 28th, end of day.
Okay, so it would still be September 28th, even though we're taking it out. And then did we decide on the maps? Was that gonna be October 1st or did it need to be sooner than that?
No,
Just first.
October 1st. Maps and chapter, land use chapter.
And when?
Can we just write any thoughts on the map?
That's what I
South
did.
Fork? No, either that or like type in SharePoint or something like.
As long as as long as it's legible so that MRB can clearly understand what the comment is. Yeah.
Well, and it's written on here.
Yeah.
Not all of this, it's mostly mine. Don't rip
And
these
then
guys
update
into
that,
it.
please.
Yes.
Okay,
All me. Blame me. It's fine.
okay, so I think we're good with that. So the seeker form. I'm supposed to introduce you again, Jessica, to walk us through that.
Yeah, so the seeker form is pretty straightforward. I could pull it up if you'd like, or you guys could view it on your laptops. Let me just pull it up for ease. Share. Oh, I can't share, but that's okay. So if you look at the full environmental assessment form itself, we are doing part 1. And so it's very easy. It's just background information, the name of you guys, the applicant, the description of the action, which is the comprehensive plan. And then if there's any government approvals, so obviously the town board, county planning, you have funding from DEC, so they are a involved agency. And then they just ask general questions about planning and zoning. And then project details, we don't do just because these are very much so specific to like if you were actually developing something. So then that was pretty much it for that. And then we have the involved agencies document. And that just pretty much is a letter to DEC stating, you know, we would like to be lead agency. If you have any comment, please let us know. And then we have the interested agency saying, this is what we're doing, very similar. We're going to be the lead agency. And if you have any comment, you know, again, let us know. And so one of the things to note is I did have a listing for interested agencies for you guys to go over if there's anything missing or anything like that. And I also included some comments that I would appreciate as well. Like a good email and phone number for the planning board, should it be the clerk, things like that, so.
And at the end of the day, town legal will be going through this as well, just to more for the town board. You'll see that there's a good chunk that's empty, so section or parts D and E are empty, and according to town legal, that's fine for legislative actions.
I think on the form, I might just have some suggestions. I can put them somehow. Because this is not a Word document. But I was thinking we should call it the comprehensive plan, like whatever the year 2025 or whatever it is. We should be very specific in what plan, what comp plan we're doing this for. And then on page 2, C2B. Is the site proposed action within any local or regional special planning districts? We say no, but then we have the Erie Canal National Heritage Corridor. So I think we either say yes or because we're in the Erie Canal National Heritage Area. So I think we need to say yes. So that was my only comment.
Does the, what do you call it, the scenic byway count?
Not in the regional special planning district.
So it doesn't count, okay.
No, there's a question later on that if you were like doing a project or a development, that there's a question about scenic resources that would come in.
I didn't know if the scenic byway was a future project. So, just ask. What about this secret stuff?
And we can get you for the planning board. Carl, are you gonna get this? Or is it gonna go through somebody else?
I mean, it comes through me. Comments are compiled ideally through the planning board, through
As your
either
chair.
Carl or through me. Yeah.
We can enter email. Well, there's the chair as its own email, no?
We don't have currently anything.
So maybe it should just go through you.
Through Planner, yeah. Jessica, just use Planner, my email
Okay.
for the planning board.
Okay.
I don't know if it matters that I think Ithaca City School District is not City of Ithaca School District. Those little things matter.
No, we should.
That's C4, Jessica.
Sorry, what did you say about this?
C4A it's Ithaca City School District.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Should we also list the Shermansburg Police Department under B? It's like big cover.
Okay, logistical question. So this is a fillable PDF, but you're already putting information in the PDF, meaning it'll become a permanent part of the FEAF, or it'll always be auto-filled with this?
I'm not sure if I'll do read.
Okay.
Like if you try to make changes to this, I don't
Well,
think I can.
this is meant to be like a fillable document, right?
Anywhere there's the
Yeah,
MRB, yeah.
but there's already data filled in there.
MRB completed it.
Yeah, but this is meant to be a template for anybody going forward, filling out a form, right? No?
No, there's a separate one. The state requires environmental assessment on large things like the comp plans and that.
Okay,
Oh,
so we
this
just do one
dress
fee
addresses specifically the comp plan.
plan.
Yeah.
Got it now, thank you. I
And
was like,
any
wait, why are we,
implementation plans, why are we changing projects, zoning changes?
Why are we
all
bothering?
zoning.
Because
I was like, why are we filling out?
Well, because
this
under
specific-
seeker, it specifically says if you're doing a comp plan for a municipality.
Nope, I thought it was
You have
something
to do it.
totally different, here, folks, thank you.
It's
Yeah.
a legislative action, so it's not a detailed project.
This was
that
more of a
has all-
technical thing, I'm like, why
Right.
are we filling out a fillable PDF if it's
Yeah.
gonna be a new template, not realizing it was empty.
I
Cause we
don't,
have to do a net secret neg deck in order to adopt the comp plan eventually, the town board will.
I think, well, Jacksonville Park is also Jacksonville Community Park. D, C4D.
Also that's Smith Woods. Yeah, I can't.
Yeah, I can't either.
Oh, is Barton part of it?
That's not part of the town.
At all.
It's in a different county too.
Right.
Well, we were talking about that earlier,
Yeah, it
and we
is
were
in
debating, it
Ulysses.
is in Seneca County, but I
Right.
mean,
None of it's in Ulysses, I don't
that's what
think,
we
right?
weren't sure, because
No.
it's part of that.
Barton?
That's Barton, Colbert.
Yep.
Does Cuba Nature Center go?
Cuban Nature Center's in Trumansville, Ulysses stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't
just didn't know
know
if
if
it's
it's
supposed to
really
be
a
listed
park.
there.
It's a.
Yeah.
No, it's not a park. I don't know, are we saying it's a park on the map?
No,
It's
no.
a,
No, I mean,
it's an open space,
open-
recreation,
communal
community
Yeah.
area that's closing.
Yeah. Which we,
Unfortunately.
hopefully will get decided upon somehow within, you know, what happens with that. So what else on this form?
I was gonna ask,
do we need to
would
do?
it be helpful if you, if committee members want to continue reviewing this, we can create like either a spreadsheet or a Word doc for you to make suggested edits to C.3.B, for example, by a certain deadline.
You said legal's gonna review all this anyway, right?
C3B.
There's
Yeah.
two more parts that come after
Yeah.
this. There's a part 2 and part 3.
The ones we were just looking
Oh, I thought that was D, you said B.
at.
And
The
then
parks
D
were
as an
C.
example.
We don't have to fill out D or E.
C is, yeah, zoning and parks are in zoning, okay. And C4, right, that's what we're talking about?
Yeah.
But I thought he said B, I was just reading.
If there's
little
a B.
B, not a D, so I couldn't.
Alright, so what else do you need us to do?
Well, maybe we could
for-
have instruction on what we do and don't fill out at all, like what the town does. Doesn't fill out if we're reviewing.
Yeah, what do you
So
need
we
from
So
know-
us right
it,
now?
it says it right in,
So people don't spend. time
under
on it.
C1.
Just make sure.
If
we
you go to
know.
page 2 of 13, under C, planning and zoning,
Okay.
C1 is planning and zoning actions. It says, will administrative or legislative adoption or amendment of a plan, local law, ordinance, rule, or regulation be the only approval which is granted to be enable this proposed action to proceed. That is what we're doing here with the comp plan.
Yep.
It says, if yes, complete section C, F, and G.
Right, I was just saying, if you send an email or something, just remind people in case they don't read that
Yep.
carefully, that we don't have to do that whole
Yep.
thing, because there's a lot of things to read.
So
I
Jessica,
read carefully, but sometimes people don't, so I'm just saying it would be.
What else?
would you
do
be able to put in like a Word doc just for committee members to make suggestions on the part 1 on the SharePoint site?
I can see what I could do in terms of getting this where you can make comment. Because this is a PDF, it may just be easy to make comments on the PDF itself, but yeah. Unless you're just saying like set up a table or something with what you would like C2, please change this, C2A, etc.
Yeah, I think a table in Word might be easier.
Okay, sure.
Thank
Got
you.
it.
The officials to comments.
Yeah.
Okay, so what else do you need for,
Are there any other interested agencies, others that we need to include? So an involved agency, it's the Word document.
Okay.
Yeah, in the folder, there's gonna be a letter that the involved agencies gets, which are people, the agencies that actually have like an authority or funding over the comp plan, which is really just the town board, the planning board.
So you're just looking at the template for the interested agency letter? again,
No,
right?
there's a listing. There's an interested agency listing. And it lists,
So you're looking at the listing, not the letter.
correct.
Ah, sorry, I didn't hear that. See?
Nope, it's just to see if there's other agencies. That we feel should get a copy of the letter because they have an actual interest in this. And this is really not for. Oh, gosh. I was trying to show you my track changes on as I was talking. This is really for the seeker side of this, not necessarily the full complement. There's lots of people reviewing the complement, but is there anybody else that needs to have a stake or a say in the seeker?
I'm gonna ask the planner, because the planner would know that answer. I'm deferring to your expertise.
We have a very extensive list of people in the public participation plan. So we can work with MRB, but if there's anyone outside that, definitely let us know. I'm also going to be deferring a lot of this to Nate, because I'm used to sending things to tribes, because tribes have different state have different rights. I'm not sure if New York State grants them the right to be an interested agency.
They do.
Okay.
If you're in tribal area.
We're not in a tribal,
We don't have a tribal area, so historically we did.
Yeah.
So that's an issue.
We're not in a designated nation, I should say.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Don't we
getting
have that West
page.
Shore Association that the dates started? What was it? West Shore. And I can't think of it, it doesn't matter.
Okay. If you have a question or something, put that.
I'm deferring.
DOT,
Yeah.
so
That's what we have a planner for.
the DC will be involved.
so. 2 minutes to
I think,
sign another meeting. Yes, so, are we done with this letter, or we need to talk more about the interested party?
I think just as if you guys have any, I think the interested parties, and again, we're also deferring to Nate, who's the attorney. I think that's a pretty inclusive list.
Yeah.
Covers some of the key players. If you have comments, but I think otherwise, I would really just be deferring to Nate.
Sound good?
So I'll give the same deadline if you can make any last comments, suggestions, questions by October 1st on all the seeker docs.
The introduction chapter. No, we are not doing that. We are putting that aside. So we have on our list preparation for the second, item 6 on our agenda, which is the preparing for the open house. How do you want to handle that, Niels?
So I'll remind folks again, just in an email for the sake of time, we have a sign-up sheet for the various stations. We have a few people that have signed up for stations. Please do so.
It's in this folder, it's
So-
called Open House 2.
I had asked a question
There's
about
Open House
the
2.
Yeah,
sign-up
my
sheet.
situation. Did you,
If,
but is there only 2
Yeah,
people
we-
allowed per station?
No,
Okay.
it's just, if we have empty stations, it'd be nice if someone, even though you might be comfortable in one wheelhouse, talking with whoever else is there and seeing if they or you
Okay,
can shift.
I'm definitely most comfortable in the housing group, for sure, versus environment or something. Yeah, mine already had, mine was already full.
climate change, whatever. I can do it. I don't think
Nobody's
there's much
signed up
in
for
there.
that.
I think we need more, but sure. I'm happy to encourage people to
Capital
look at that.
facility.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a couple in here.
Well, if we've got too many in
I'm
housing,
hearing
I can
coming
move
back
me
from
to somewhere
out of
else
town, but
where we need one. That's really big. I'll just pick one that's open and move into
Oh,
it.
thanks, Carl.
Yeah.
It's only because I don't
No, I
know that
don't-
I'm really useful in other
No,
areas. There's
I'm
probably some
perfectly
places
game
I
to
can
go
do.
anywhere, and if I need to get up to speed on something, I'll
I appreciate
do some
that.
crash
Where are you
course
going,
work.
Carl?
Well, I'm under the housing
He's
stuff
not sure, he
now,
just
but
got kicked out of house.
since she's more comfortable in housing, I says, I'll just move myself to somewhere else where we need
It
to
is where
buy.
my
I can do
expertise
climate
lies.
change, but I might be late, so you can put that note. I could also do the environment, I could do whatever, but.
We could take turns.
Yeah, I am
My
also
opinion.
hoping to get there on time, so I'll be out of town for about 10 days. If I come back that day, I'll hopefully get there.
Yeah, I come back that day too.
Okay, anything else we have to, so we have to talk about distributing the flyer. Jessica, thank you for putting the email together and sending that out. Did people forward that along? So please do, if you haven't, like if you have groups or just people you know, like just send it out there. What else about the open house? Do you wanna-
For the open house, not so much. It did sound like some members were interested in having an advice, a council session with Nate, just to help in the last final hearing, your recommendation. He is available before the meetings on October 8th and November 5th, or other dates, just let me know. And I will put that in an email as well, again.
Jessica, maybe you have a question.
Yeah, not sure if you guys have looked at the sample for the open house that we were planning to have. They were boards. And so we would have goals and objectives and then have a reaction column. So people could place a red dot if you dislike the goal or objective, and a green dot if you like the goal or objective, and you could also write comments. So I just wanted to make sure if you guys were good on that, so we could start producing that for you guys. And that's all in the SharePoint as well in the open house folder titled Exercise Example Economic Development.
Howard was
First feeling
open
about
house to exercise.
Oh, exercise.
So flow wise, it should be very similar in feel to the first open house.
So Jessica's not creating something that we're not in agreement on. So that.
It just presents the goals as they're currently stated in the documents which we've already reviewed, except for land use.
You can have the post.
No, have a- well, she's saying-
Write something.
Yeah, she was saying the red don't, green, red no, green yes, and then also the sticky notes.
Yep, and so then
Yep.
you can write better notes. That's right, all that.
And then, so people have that. Yeah. I like that. It's their mode of communication. Pretty good with that? Okay. All right, what else with open house? In terms of the training, yes, please spread the word. I mean, I definitely sent it out. Are you, Jessica, are you planning to do like, I don't know if you're actually sending out a blast to lists or?
I wasn't, just because from my understanding from our email exchanges, you guys had all that insider knowledge, but I could certainly help if you provide me with that information.
How do we wanna
Specifically
do
emails.
emails?
So Carissa's doing her listserv. We have a listserv for the committee. And I've asked Carissa to keep pushing it out on social media, so that's going on. We have it on the town's website and also Ulysses United, which is the comp plan webpage. And we've done press releases. It's in the paper.
Can I think about the rec desk listserv, that's 1,500.
It was, I thought it was going out through that too.
Just someone want,
That would be Carissa. I don't have that.
I do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Rachel does.
I'll ask Chris and maybe she can just give you the text.
Okay, and I can also send you the PDF or the link to the flyer.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. Or anything else on the public open house?
Not yesterday. Nobody was there yesterday. Well, 2 people showed up.
She would be able to come to, she would announce it at the ledge meeting.
Yeah, she was at the first of the month. That's when she usually calls in and does her recording. Nobody wanted to listen to budgets last night. I did, but I couldn't.
Be somewhere else.
So who would that come from, a town board member? Who would be the most appropriate to ask Ann to do
I
that?
can forward it to you.
It would be somebody from the town board, 'cause I don't wanna cross that. But great one, she's always a good conduit. She always, when she does her report at the ledge meetings, she'll encourage people to come.
Mhm. Good idea.
I don't remember, so I just, I'm. Before the 6th.
Well, like I said, Jessica put together a really nice, like just an email promo. It's just super easy just to. Anything else? Open house? Okay. So we have that our next meeting is going to be October 8th. We will have the public hearing on the next elements, which is going to be,
Community well-being and capital facilities and utilities.
we'll debrief the open house. We'll review maybe anything else with the introductory chapter, other stuff. And then prep for the final hearing. Do we want to try to do a meeting with whoever, I'm sorry, I don't remember.
Nate.
Nate. That day or on a different day? So that we're ready for this meeting. I guess it's different than what we normally do, so.
It would start maybe around 4.
I think it's a lot.
Yeah. With everything else.
So a separate meeting, do you want to do a
Plus, I
Zoom
can't,
poll?
I can
come at
do
4
a
o'clock for
poll.
meetings.
I can do a poll to see if people want to do it before a meeting or on
And
a
that can be
separate
done
day.
virtually.
Yeah, it can be done.
I mean,
virtually.
it's gonna be virtual, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
folks can be done.
Yeah, let's
virtual
see,
too.
and it doesn't have to be like an official meeting of the comp plan
No.
or something,
No,
okay,
I
so do you
don't-
wanna
that's
just
just-
try to set that up, we'll do it virtual?
Just call it for work.
Um,
I have
Not on
something
that
at work
day.
until, yeah. not on that
did I
day.
miss any agenda items, my computer died?
Not on any.
Review of the draft.
Draft
introduction
minutes.
chapter.
Oh, yes, so the minutes, we need to, did everyone get a chance to see the
Yes.
minutes?
Yeah.
Okay, do we have any concerns, changes? We have a
Fine,
motion.
I'm okay. I'll make a motion to accept the August 3rd minutes.
Thank you, Carl.
Or that
September 3rd.
September 3rd, sorry, yes.
We'll do August too.
Second,
October 3rd. I'll second.
thank you, all in favor?
Aye.
I'm
Aye.
abstaining because I didn't have a chance to read them.
Okay,
And thank you, Carissa, for doing the minute stuff.
yeah. Do we have any member reports?
We're in budget season, so if anybody wants to see what the town budget looks like. Watch last night's meeting.
Okay.
It's on meeting materials, right? It's on-
Motion
Yeah.
to adjourn.
Thank you, Carl, second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Great, thank you.
Do we need to
overshot the
rearrange
next
this
ledge meeting's at 7.
back
So
to
don't worry
normal?
about me.
Okay.
Thank you, Jessica. Thank you.
Hi, have a good night.